Welcome to the Millennial Diner podcast. It's me, Jeff. I'm back here at the diner with Phil, and today we have a super awesome guest in Jacob. Hey, Jacob, say hi.
Hey, hi people. I'm so excited to be at the diner with you.
Oh, we're so excited to have you. I know I'm starving, so I'm just gonna get to it. I'm gonna go with an Impossible Burger on a toasted bun. I want one onion ring between the bun and the burger. Uh,
Oh,
Mustard on it, and then side of fries, coffee with oat milk, and just have Maurice in the kitchen be on standby with an oat milk ice cream vegan brownie sundae because I want some dessert today.
That's excellent. Are you fully plant-based, Jeff?
I am, yeah. I
That's really that's really great. I also love how like since the time we were all in high school together, uh, mustard on a burger has become really acceptable. It used to be like and it's like I can't imagine a burger without mustard anymore. Like I just can't.
I'm so glad that you were an early adopter. Like I felt like a freak. I would be like I go on these family vacations. We'd like drive to like down south like Virginia, and I'd get a burger and it had mustard on it. Like what? This is you could do this? And then you bring it back to Long Island and people just like throw tomatoes at you.
It's crazy. Well, I mean, you were an early you were a trendsetter, and I'm proud of you. I'm sorry to our waiter, by the way. I will have an English breakfast tea, a cup of matzo ball soup,
Nice.
letting the Jew out, and a Reuben. But if I could get the Russian dressing on the side, so I could dip it, 'cause I don't like when they slather it on. It gets messy, and facial hair and $1,000 dressing or Russian
Yeah,
dressing.
yeah.
No, it doesn't work. Thank you.
that doesn't work. No, at all. As a guy with a beard, I know it's like it gets just everywhere, right?
Oh, Phil, is that why you never get Russian dressing on your toast?
That's exactly what I mean.
Uh,
I don't know if I'd like just Russian dressing on a toast. I mean, really, that would be intriguing, wouldn't it? But I think I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna have rye toast with butter and black coffee. That sounds really good. Let's do that.
well, some things never change, right?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It's affordable though. It's a fair
Yeah,
price.
When was
It's
the
a fair
last time you touched grass, Phil? Like, what's going on?
What type of grass are we talking about? Are we talking
Oh.
about the lawn grass or the other grass?
No,
It's been a
just
while.
feel-
It's been a while for either.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to work on that. I miss you. We'll make sure that happens.
You're gonna be Stephen King's Lawnmower Man before it's all said and done.
Well, as long as I'm the short story, not the movie, that'd be
Right?
totally
Yes,
fine.
that's fine. Where he actually is eating grass all the time.
Yeah, he's actually eating grass the entire time. What a weird concept that is. Just actually eating the grass.
Well, speaking of weird concepts, let's bring up Smithtown, New York, where we know Jacob here from originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go way back there. You're now where do you live down these days?
I am now, after a few wonderful years in Astoria, where my wife and I now live in Westchester, New York. We're in so about 20 minutes north of the Bronx, and
Very
where we
nice.
both work. So it's very convenient. It's
What's-
Hartsdale, New York.
What's the vibe difference between like Westchester and Long Island? Because I feel like people who grew up in Westchester, like they have a very similar experience to Long Island kids, but it's like just off a little bit.
It's so it's like bizarro Long Island. It's like I call it nice Long Island. It's like people are similar, but it's quite a bit it's quite a bit more diverse, at least in the town I live in. And people are nice, and you don't expect them to be nice. I still have that like guard at Long Island, like someone's trying to kick my ass for literally no reason. I'm always on guard. But diner culture, unlike here at the Millennial Diner, the diner culture isn't as hard. It's still there, which makes me happy, makes me feel a little at home. But they don't go hard like we did in Long Island. So
Yeah.
I miss it.
Where does upstate start? Is it after Westchester County, or does Westchester County count
It
as
starts.
upstate?
No, it starts at Putnam County for me. I really, 'cause I live so close. It's so close to the city. You're like right there. It's definitely quicker to the city than Smithtown. I can get to Manhattan in 40 minutes. You couldn't do that from Smithtown. Um, you know, it's cool. I'm near, Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, and there's a lot of property damage around there. It's
I can
really
imagine.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really happy you mentioned Professor Xavier because I definitely have a Cyclops thing I need to talk about later when we get into this album that we're here to talk about. But before we do that, we are talking about an album. That's what we do here. You're here. You busted through the door of the diner and you demanded you kicked over a table and demanded that we cover the Bouncing Souls 2001 record, How I Spent My Summer Vacation, a pivotal record if you lived in the Tri-County area, or Tri-State area, not Tri-County, Tri-State area. But okay, so Bouncing Souls, clearly a Bouncing Souls fan. We'll get into what it means to be a Bouncing Souls fan, because I feel like it's a very specific fandom and a very loyal fandom. And um, how did you get into like a bands like the Bouncing Souls, like punk rock and stuff? Like, what was kind of your journey there?
Well, it was kind of you guys. I don't know, Phil. I don't know if you were there. I think you were. Scott Spampinato took me to see them at Tramps. It was like early in your senior year, my junior year. I'm pretty sure it was you and Scott Spampinato who took me.
That sounds right. Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
And I'd heard them before, and there was this public access show, and I'll get into this later, called Slacker TV that was on, and they did a whole episode where Maniacal Laughter was the soundtrack to the entire their 1996 album. Maniacal Laughter was the entire soundtrack of the album. So that's how I was first exposed to them, like seeing them with their old drummer Shalander at Tramps. I think the first and last show I ever went to at Tramps. And so seeing them live was incredible. And then watching that episode, which I, taped on my VCR at like 3 a.m, and hearing my Maniacal Laughter, I was like, I got hooked on them so fast. They were incredible.
That's
so
awesome.
You guys, yeah. So I owe like the class of 1998, like my specifically for Bouncing Souls, but it was also like, we all grew up in the 90s, I was a kid who like was raised on They Might Be Giants.
Yeah.
That was what I heard
Yeah.
and the Talking Heads. And then like as soon as I got into like puberty hit, it became cool to like really sad music. Again, I love Smashing Pumpkins, love Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, but that was like, and then all the goth stuff, which was, again, it's great stuff, but it wasn't who I was. And
Yeah.
it was like around 1998 that I feel like pop punk became a thing, and I'm like, oh my god, now there's music that's like my personality again. There's happy music, or at least like people are, maybe the songs are about something sad, but it's upbeat at the same time. And the Bouncing Souls for me were the epitome of that. It was such a great era of music.
Oh yeah, and like it's funny, like when you say upbeat, thinking about the Bouncing Souls and kind of like their message, it's all about like love music, love life, love your friends. It's so positive when you break it down, and that's what it's all about. It's all about being with your buddies and your best friends, and like singing along, like sing along forever, as they would say.
Right. Yeah. And their next album, right, Anchors Away,
Yeah.
which I got to, this is also the album where I got to meet them.
Oh, cool.
This is the album where we became friends, and a friendship that continues to this day, where I made a feature film with them, and with their help. And they are just the most amazing people. They were like a case of meeting your heroes and it not being a bad thing. And they really are. They really practice what they preach. Maybe even more so in real life than in their music.
That's amazing. Yeah. I've always appreciated kind of like they always seem accessible, and they always seem like really kind to their fans. And they're such an interesting band because that fan base they've built over the years since the night. I mean, they've been a band for over 30 years now, right?
Since 1987. We're coming close on 35 years.
Wow, 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And they still put out records regularly. And like their shows it's the same vibe now that it was 20 years ago. I'm actually seeing them. We're recording this. I'm seeing them Friday from the day we're recording this, which is pretty crazy to be doing this, recording this episode, and then going to see them again.
That's amazing. They've only gotten better. It's like, it's unreal.
So Bouncing Souls clearly were kind of like your gateway then. Like this is the band that got you into all this, and that sounds like that's amazing.
They really are. There were some other things. We had a good local music scene in Long Island for a while, and some ska bands, Edda's Goldfish, and Real Big Fish toured a lot, and there was definitely like they were kind of tangential related, and of course Bouncing Souls toured with the Pie Tasters and the Slackers a lot, so there was a bit of overlap with the ska bands and World Inferno Friendship Society, but Bouncing Souls, I say, because of that wide appeal, they were my gateway to so many other types of music. and other bands.
All right. Here's the situation. We're
Yeah.
gonna demolish Mount Rushmore and rebuild it.
I'm ready.
We're gonna get rid of those presidents.
Yeah.
You know, they're all canceled. We're getting rid of them all. And
Yeah.
we're putting up your favorite artists and bands. Who are you putting up there?
Okay. This was like, I didn't feel like it would work. When you asked me which album I picked, I know I picked How I Spent My Summer Vacation pretty quickly, but my absolute favorite musician these days, and since I say 2003, Ted Leo, and of course the Pharmacists. Hearts of Oak, I'd put Ted Leo would be up there. Alkaline Trio. I was very torn between God Damn It, From Here to Infirmary. Any Dillinger 4, that'd be my third president. Like any of their first three albums. I'm actually wearing a kind of a vintage Dillinger 4 t-shirt right now. But how do you pick among their first three albums? Even Civil War, their fourth album, is incredible. And then this is the first thing that came to mind when you asked me to talk about an album, but I realized I don't think it would be a good idea because I think they were making fun of emo before emo was even like really big, and it's kind of the Get Up Kids side project, Reggie and the Full Effect.
Yes.
Promotional copy, which was God, what that album, that and the summer of 2001, promotional copy and How I Spent My Summer Vacation were just on constant rotation.
That was your 2001, yeah. I mean, that was Reggie the Full Effect. I still can't describe what that band is. Like they,
you can't, yeah.
And like I was mesmerized by it every time I got to see them. And
the Ted Leo one is like, I was like, all right, I like that. It adds a little flavor to the group. I love it. Yeah,
it's amazing. I just saw, this year I saw him 4 times, like twice solo, once where he reunited with his band from the 90s, Chisel. They played in Lower Manhattan, and then first show with the Pharmacists in like 5 years was September 10th. So I saw them there day before his birthday. He's got a September 11th birthday, that guy. So just incredible musician, again, just same age as the Bouncing Souls. Yeah, just nonstop incredible music. Looks younger than I do. It's touring keeps him young, keeps them all young.
That's awesome. All right, so of these 4 bands that you named on your Mount Rushmore, is there a song from one of them that you would love to hear right now?
Oh geez, Cringe from God Damn It. The opening track, I think, next to that song, which is the first track that we're going to hear from How I Spent My Summer Vacation, is my favorite opening track of any album.
Perfect. Yes. This is I vote yes in this, Phil. Phil, you can't stop us. We're playing Cringe by Alkaline Trio.
Sorry, I won't try. I won't stop it, you guys. And you go get them.
All right, here is Cringe from Alkaline Trio. All right. Well, we got the palate cleanser. We got a little Alkaline Trio to set us up. These 2 bands, old friends, used to tour together a bunch back in the day. It's funny. Alkaline Trio about almost a decade ago at this point, maybe 9 years ago, did like a thing where they went to 4 different cities, and did I talked about it for a whole stand of 4 nights. They played 2 albums a night.
Right.
The Bouncing Souls had done that a few years prior. Same thing, which was like insane. I actually got to go to a couple of those shows, and I went to the night they played How I Spent My Summer Vacation in its entirety. So that was a really special moment. This, I don't know about you guys, but this Bouncing Souls record is like, this is the record I give to somebody if they want to know what the Bouncing Souls sound like and what they do best.
I was reading on the Epitaph website for the biography for a little bio write-up for Bouncing Souls. And specifically for this album, they said this was their best album. They themselves said this was their best album. And I 100% agree with that. I think this is their best album.
Yeah. I think it defined their sound for the next like 4 records easily. Like just the way that, just like the riffs that Pete Steinkopf plays. And again, adding McDermott as their drummer after Schallinger left the band was just incredible. Just like him being able to do these like halftime rhythms, and it's just like, it really, even though they have George Rebello now from Hot Water Music as their drummer, it's like he just really set the standard. Like that's the sound. Love it so much.
Yeah, I feel like the album before this was Hopeless Romantic.
Also
right?
incredible, by the way.
Amazing, yeah.
Also,
Like,
yeah.
because that's actually Hopeless Romantic is the album that I first started seeing them live on for me. So like, I had that kind of like connection to that one. But it was like this is the one. So I was a little later to Bouncing Souls than you guys were. I was aware of them. I felt like only the cool punk kids could listen to them, and I didn't feel like a cool punk kid in high school. But I showed them because it's 2023. I'm seeing the Bouncing Souls a week from now. But anyway, by the time I got into them, and this came out, it was around that explosion, like you said earlier, Jacob, about this explosion in pop punk. It just felt like it was all part of that movement. Like everybody was popping off because From Here to Infirmary came out this year. On the TRL side of things, Take Your Pants Off a Jacket came out in 2001. So like it was just like Newfound Glory was kind of like at its biggest at that point. It was just so Bouncing Souls, just even though they were older, felt like they were just part of this moment, and they were just also there. Because I feel like, famously their first album, don't they have like an anti MTV on the CD? Like
they were always anti MTV. In fact, like on MTV2, the former VJ Jim Shearer, also a great guy. He would wear Bouncing Souls outfits. He's like, okay, I love them so much. I know we can't play their music videos, but I want to show that I love them. And they noticed, and he became like a big friend of ours as a result of that, which was incredible. I think also, I think we romanticize this time so much because, again, September 11th, 2001, we had that all these albums came out in that last summer of kind of American innocence.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for us, we're all hitting our 20s, hitting 21 for us specifically. And it was like our lives forever changed after that.
Yeah.
So there's a nostalgia that's extremely real, like nostalgia that's literally, I think, painful. And it's so special thinking about the first time you ever heard that album.
Yeah, because like it came out in May, so I heard it that summer, and I think at that point it was like I'm sure everyone has this. I don't know, maybe not everyone with punk band stuff. There's like a moment where you think like, I guess I'm done with that now. You think it's like because like society's telling you to put down the teenager music and like listen to Peter Gabriel or whatever it is. But like nothing against Peter Gabriel, but like I feel like that's what you're supposed to do at a certain point. You put the bound. But like this album came out, and I remember maybe I was in that mode of like, well, maybe. And then I heard this one. I'm like, oh no, the Bouncing Souls were like still one of the greatest bands of all time, and this is their fifth album, and they're only getting better. But also
that's what I mean, dude. I feel like this is their fifth album in, and it's like their best album. Like I think that's what's so great about the band, how much they were growing and all this. Because I think this is it's their most complete album. I think start to finish. This is just like banger after banger on this one, like the whole time. I don't know. It's like they took what really worked on Hopeless Romantic and like dial it up to 11 on this one.
That's right. That's exactly how I'd phrase it. Yeah.
do you think they got more mature as well on this? This isn't the maturation album because it feels like they got a little more introspective. They got a little more deeper. It seemed like there's songs in this album that are kind of like, oh, they're a little sad. They're a little bit like, not like they usually always get to the positive, but they're going through like they're growing up. It really feels like on this.
Yeah. So, yeah, I actually, about a year and a half ago, I ended up with Greg, the lead singer, Greg Atenito, on the phone, and we were having a conversation about like, again, I won't go to the specifics. It was like one of our friends was going through a hard time. Something from his past had kind of emerged, and it was not a good thing. And he was like, he said like, there's a point, and there's in education, the education space where I'm from, we call it emerging adulthood. That's that weird space between 18 and 26 when you're like trying to figure it out. And he said like, we're all like, we spend this time between like 18 and like 30 trying to figure out how to be human beings. Yeah. And so you got the band, they're emerging from that. They're 30, 31 when this album comes out. And if you look at the lyrics, it's all like, ooh, here's how to like still acknowledge your past, acknowledge your mistakes, and still move forward and still love life. And this album is like, this album's like having a big brother, a cool big brother who just is gonna make sure everything's gonna be okay, and that it's still okay to be like yourself, and it's still okay to be positive, and that you're gonna go through some shit, but it's gonna be all right.
I love how you just said that. Like you just hit on exactly who the Bouncing Souls have been to me this whole time. They are the big brother. That's exactly that vibe. And I'm so happy you said that, because that puts in context everything about them. They always seem like they were like the punk rockers who like figured it out and were like helping you along the way with their music.
Exactly what this album feels. Well, the band, and Jeff, you're right. I think that well done for both of you. It's very much like the big brothers. And I listen to them. It's gonna be okay. They're great with their fans. They remind me a lot of Less Than Jake in that regard.
Yeah.
But oh, there's an age thing where I just forgot where I was going to go with that. As you were, I'll think of it. Don't worry, it'll come back.
Well,
back.
you know where we can go. We can go into the album, because it's 13 bangers, and we need to talk about them all. First song, well, actually, let's talk about the album cover. The other thing, Jacob, you brought up, it's hard not to think about this album in the context of 2001 and 9/11. In fact, I feel like I have a very visceral memory of looking at the back of this CD after 9/11 and seeing the maniacal, what do they call the circle guy? He's a
geez, why I feel like
the maniacal something, right? Like it's
something like that. I gotta kill Brian Keenan will probably kill me for not remembering it, because he designed it. He drew all this.
Oh yeah.
He didn't get to go to art school, or he went for a little bit or something like that. And this was his, or he'd gotten in, and so these are his drawings. They're beautiful.
They're awesome. Yeah, he tattoos at like Anchors Away in Jersey, right?
It's his shop.
Yeah.
It's funny. He like in my movie Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics, we watched the whole thing on YouTube. He plays a tattoo artist. His then girlfriend had a shop called New York Adorned in like Second and Second Avenue, right near Anthology Film Archives. And we shot a scene of our film there, and he's like pretending to be a tattoo artist, and he had no idea how to tattoo then. And then he learned, and he has it's his own shop. He runs it. He's like they call him like the mayor of Long Branch. Apparently, he like knows everybody.
I want a Bouncing Souls tattoo. I've wanted one for a long time, but it has to be from him. One of these days, I'm gonna be on the East Coast and make the appointment and just do it.
Yeah, my wife and I are gonna totally do this. We're looking to adopt, actually.
Oh, wonderful!
And, thank you. And like
wonderful.
he's adopted two beautiful girls, and so I've been advised, hey, just get a tattoo, and this way he could like focus and talk to you about that. So I'm gonna get some adoption advice, hopefully, from him soon while getting tatted.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay, sorry to go to a sidebar here. We do need to talk about your film you made, because I don't know if I remember when you guys were making it. I was already in LA, and I remember when you premiered it at Huntington. Is that right? Cinema Arts
Center. Yeah, we were all working there at the time too.
Fun. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I was like so jealous. I wanted to watch it because I was like, wait, this is a punk rock movie about Long Island, and I can't watch it. And then at some point a few years ago, I guess you guys finally uploaded it.
Yeah.
And I finally watched it, and I never had to tell you. I don't know if I maybe I messaged you, I can't remember, but I loved it so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's such a fantastic film.
It's got too much cursing in it. I always show my students like a supercut with just the F-bombs in it. And I'm like, this is why we don't curse in our screenplays, because your actors will just go nuts. But but yeah, I mean, it was like we were trying to really, like I mentioned, the whole like growing up is hard, but you're gonna be all right. And that's kind of what the film is about. The film is just basically about a unraveling of a punk band. They're falling apart. They've been together since high school, and it's like, can we break up as a band and still be friends? You could tell that every character is trying to move on. They're trying to become they're trying to grow up and figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out who they are as human beings, and they're scared to evolve their friendships. They're worried they'll lose them. And we really wanted to make a film about that. And It was a hard process. It took like 8 years to put out, but when we did, it was great. The Bouncing Souls show up in it. They booked a show on Long Island just for us, so we could like film it. They were so unbelievably supportive. They act in the movie. They're great. Greg even grabbed the camera at one point and filmed some of it. So he has this great POV shot where he's holding the camera.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's free. It's Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics. So people just Google it and they'll find it, or is it?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. If you get past the first 15 minutes of the horrible amount of voiceover we had to put in because of many reasons, it's actually surprisingly watchable, even though it's potato quality, shot on a Canon GL1, so mini DV, and like a camera from 2001, same year this album came out, and It's fun. I learned how not to make a movie by making this. It's great. It's the best way to learn how to make a movie is learn how not to make a movie.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. I had to do that sidebar because it's all very important. You, Bouncing Souls, and a great movie you guys made. But we'll start off. The first track of this album is called That Song.
That song. Not this song. That song.
Yeah, that song. I don't know about you, but this album starts and like you go to 11 immediately. Like it just like it pulls you in.
Yeah.
Well, they've always been good at first songs.
Yeah.
Like opening tracks. They're good at opening tracks. They are.
Yeah.
But this one definitely, it pulls you right in. And it's like we talked earlier, it's a song about how music just, for me, it just lifts you up, right? You get in, it doesn't matter, how you feeling, you can put music on and it just gets you going.
Well, lyrics are also just so powerful. Like in the end,
Yep.
what have we learned? Are we just faces in the crowd? Right. I mean, just like the narrative perspective is interesting. It's like, I don't know if it's the band talking or the band's like, it's like, hey, we're writing the song perspective of our fans or the people we grew up with. Like, I can never really kind of pin it down, and it almost doesn't matter. It's just so, it just hits hard, and it's like so universal. It's like, we all love music. We all appreciate it. We all understand what it is to have a song that you just need to play. You just feel this urge to play and to see live and to just go. And it just speaks to that urge and that collective feeling. And it's just unbelievably powerful still 22 years later.
Yeah, it just does all that. I mean, like, it's funny, like, because this is a band who they touch on a lot of the same themes in their songs. Like, that's what they do. Like, they have a message and they're delivering a very positive message about this unity and music and things like that. But you said here too about who's saying this, because it starts off, it could just be a fan, right? Like, but they put the soundtrack of What I Want to Be. If I want to change the world, it's got to start with me. Like, they're getting that from the music, and when I change the world, we take that as something positive. Like, you're taking that feeling of the music and you're living it, and you're sharing that with everybody you cross paths with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just that outro, a movement with no leaders. We stand tonight, hearts in our hands. Like, that's insane. Again, when you're like a weepy 20-year-old kid, I know technically you're an adult, but come on, that hits you. Just that's what you want to be a part of. Something with no hierarchy, just people just like you're just part of some collective positive energy, which again, the next few months would completely destroy in America. And but it's just like, here is this hope. Here is this thing that I really wish would happen. I think I've spent my entire adult life trying to chase like the ideal of the last two lines of the song. Yeah.
A movement with no leaders. Like yeah, it's not even the band. Like, the band is separate from the fans too. Like, that's coming back to that punk rock ethos. Like, this is all of us together doing this.
Jeff, I said it. How many times have I said it? I'm going to keep saying it. Our show is about community, not competition. This is the community song. Like, this is the song about, like Jacob, you used the great collective. I thought that was the word I was like, I kept like spacing on, like, because I feel like that sums up this song. It's about being together. And it's funny, the longest time I immediately misunderstood the bottom part of the song where it's a movement, no leaders. And I was like, is that like a weird turn? Like, are we leaderless? Like, we're not going the way we're supposed to? Longest time I had that incorrect. And then I was looking back, I'm like, no, we're equal, right? We're all together in this. There's no one guy up in the front. And even the fact that the band is even acknowledging that they're just a part of the scene. Like, this is the scene song.
Completely agree. And I think that like it actually it's almost not contradicted by and not exactly complimented by, but there's like the next song, right? The next track. Are we ready to move over to that or
well, we are. I would say we should play that song first though, because people need to get on our level.
Oh, and you should listen to this one, and you should also, just anyone listening to this, listen to the lyric, read the lyrics.
Yeah,
while you listen to this.
Yep.
Read the lyrics to that song, the first track off 2001's "How I Spent My Summer Vacation" by the Bouncing Souls. Now that you all are on the same level as us and are probably jumping up and down in your cars as you listen to this, or on the treadmill, whatever you're doing. Um, we were talking about how the next song kind of continues what we started here in that song. And the next song is called Private Radio.
Not public radio.
Private radio.
Private radio.
And again, this is another song. You just look at the lyrics. Look at the lyrics right now, and think about the current state of the world today, and how like this went from. I feel like everyone. It's not a private radio. It's a private reality, a private world view that everybody has, which is keeping us really, really divided. Again, there's this innocence here that just doesn't exist post 9/11, where it's like, okay, we all have our private radio, we all have these tracks in our songs and these things going through our heads and these things that are getting us through the day. And again, if I had it my way, everyone would know how we're living in our own private radio. Yeah, we all do that. But we also live in a world where we can podcast and share what music we're listening to, and we can take these, and we're so cut off from each other in many ways at the same time that we are living in these bubbles, these self-created bubbles during a time where we can connect with each other, ironically, so much more easily. So this song, like, again, I feel like the meaning of it has changed. It's one of those like the text is king, new critics type deals, where it's like, to me, this is a song about your own musical world, getting you through tough times.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny, Jacob, you bringing that up, because this is one of those songs I really personally connect deeply.
Yeah.
Now, because it always kind of spoke to me, particularly in the way the former meaning you had for it, but is really connecting me that way. So as a person who had undiagnosed ADHD for the majority of their life, in order to get through things as a kid, and I mean like get through this family dinner, this church event, this class, get through class, I would continually like become the recluse in my mind, listening to songs in my head. And it got to the point where I'd start doing like little fake drum beats, like like that, or I would like kind of sing the guitar work or all that. And it became a joke in my family. Like my wife still jokes about it. She knows when I'm coming because I'll start making drum beats as I'm walking down the aisle in the store, and she'll hear me coming. Like she still makes jokes about that. And so I've always had a private radio in my head that whenever I needed to escape something, like this is boring to me, or I don't want to be here, I would just escape into the part in my head. But that also, you made a great point, but that also, man, I'm listening to me up here, not listening to you say something. And I missed something. I missed that opportunity for that connection. I mean, that's such a great point. So this is like this, there's a positive and a negative to having such a private radio in my head.
The song's incredible. Again, the song is one of those things that just hits me after these years. I'm not ADHD, but I feel very much the same way as you. I know. I think like maybe you all had this experience, like when you were in like, I don't know what grade it was, where you got your first Walkman or Discman. Like what? How old were you when you got your first like Walkman? Do you remember?
I think it was that gigantic yellow sport one, and I think I was like 13. That sounds about right. Yeah, I was like 13 or 14. I was like 14. Okay, I got it when I got Dookie on tape, so that probably was about 14 was when I got it. Yeah.
Wow.
You? Do you remember?
Yeah, Jill. Yeah. So I was entering 6th grade. It was like my elementary school graduation gift. I got to go to the Nobody Beats the Whiz, and it was auto reverse because I was too bougie to like take out the tape and switch it to the other side. But like I found that I would listen to records and stuff. Like I'd listen to not records, I listen to cassettes. Duran Duran, the Wedding album, freaking still a banger. But hey, I'm not ashamed. I love it. But I would more listen to the FM radio, Z100, Adam Curry's Top 30 Hit List. Do you remember that?
I do. Now that you're saying that.
Now that you said it, yeah, that brought that back.
Yeah.
So that
brought that back. Woo.
That was every Sunday night, followed by Love Phones, where we all learned about sex way earlier than we should, and really explicit graphic detail, despite like the limits. But then we all did things. I remember I would just take every VHS tape we had in the house, and I would record MTV overnight so I could catch Headbangers Ball and see all the and learn about all the music that I was kind of hidden from kids our age.
Yeah.
And that was like, I mean, just it was the only way as a kid, when before this era of everything's on demand, where you could curate your own musical taste and you could really figure out who you were and what got to you musically. And then of course we all start getting our driver's licenses. You have a car, and then you could just impose your musical taste on anybody who rides with you, which is why I love driving so much.
Yeah, you're in control of
so this song just makes me think of all of that.
Oh, it's so great.
Jeff, what about you, Jeff? When was your first Walkman?
Discman or Walkman? Yeah.
I don't know if I ever had my own tape Walkman. It feels like it might have just been my dad's, and I was just listening to Weird Al Yankovic tapes on it anyway, because that's where I was at. So by the time I got a Discman, it was definitely like high school, and that's when I was like creating my private radio and like being on the school bus and not being social and just listening to whatever, Rancid or Green Day or Metallica, even going through those different phases you do. But it's funny because when I love all these definitions everybody has with this private radio thing, because for me, the old way I used to read it was, this is very much one of those like rah rah punk rock rules songs. Like, this is like Punk Rock Show by MXPX or whatever. It's something where like the private radio is this like this music that no one else, the masses, don't know about. Like, I got my own scene, I got my own thing, and that's like the people I meet made me feel all right. The music got me through the night. It's just being part of this punk scene. It's private because it's not everyone is tuned in to the punk rock radio. I always went to that direction with it. But I also, Jacob, you said earlier, like, I think about when I go to the grocery store and everyone's walking around with ear pods in, and like, yeah, whether it's a podcast or music or whatever, it's like no one is connecting. We're all just plugged into our private radios and not connecting as humans are supposed to.
Talk about it's like the balancing solos. I'm going to say that the balance solos are more complex lyrically than I think they really get the credit for. I really think they're actually a much more complex lyrical band than people perceive them to, because it's one thing I always love about them is they're very straight punk rock. It's just 3 chords, 4 chords, 5 chords. I feel like they really picked up where like the Descendants kind of left off for a while. And then of course I think the Descendants picked up where the Ramones left off, and they were a band talking about bands that were just talking about trying to get with relationship problems and being with, trying to be with girls and hanging out with your friends. And I feel like that's a nice like clear line between the Ramones. The Descendants picked it up, and then at this point the Descendants hadn't come back. Oh no, they did. By this point they came back instead of just being an all. But I feel like Bounce Souls kind of picked up where the Descendants left off.
Completely. I just think that they're all, the Descendants definitely like social commentary, right? Milo, PhD, he had an agenda. I feel like in a way, and some people might, I see some people take this as a criticism of the Basque Souls, but that I accept. They're not really a political band at all. They're very, and punk. I always find punk and politics to be very hand in hand, but not so much them. I mean, by I think the Gold record in 2006, they get a bit more political. They're weighing in on Iraq, and even Ghosts on the Boardwalk when they're doing airport security. Yeah, that song, which I actually think is a great song. People don't like that. I think it's a great song, but up to this point, they're kind of just talking about the human condition, about being lost and figuring and trying to figure things out. And I think that is every bit as valuable, if not more.
Well, just think of Hope by the Descendants. You can see the Bounce Souls coming up with that one, and playing that as one of their songs, or I think it's there. I think that's definitely there, that line. Jeff, do we want to play private radio?
This is going to be one of those records, Phil, where you're going to have to stop me from playing almost every song. So just get ready.
I got to be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to stop you. I think we're just gonna play them all. Go ahead.
All right. Here's private radio for all your private radios out there in radio podcast land. Well, that was Private Radio, track 3 on this album. I mean, in my humble opinion, if this is the album I want to give people to know what the Bouncing Souls are, this is the quintessential Bouncing Souls song for me. Like, this is their thesis, who they're singing to, what they're singing about. I would dare say this song captures the soul of the Bouncing Souls.
Yeah, it's I'd say it's easily their best song. I really, and again, that's hard for me to say, but it's just like, the more I've thought about this for a good 25 years,
Yeah.
This is their best song. Ironically, it's the song I least identify with, lyrically. I'm a rule follower. I'm an atheist. I'm not that I don't have faith. I think atheists, and I don't think that's what this is about. I've never lived the hard life that they lived in the 90s. Again, you should watch. There's an excellent documentary about them, their first 15 years as a band, called "Do You Remember?" And you should all directed by the two Jeffs. One of them was Jeff Alulus, who actually took over from Jello Biafra as the lead singer of the Dead Kennedys for a little bit. A lot of people don't know that he was a lead singer of the Dead Kennedys shortly after making this documentary. But if you can find that documentary, you can still find it secondhand on Amazon. I know I've bought it for people over the years as gifts. You can really. It also has all their music videos, and I'm actually in the music video for this song.
Are you really?
Are you really?
Sick.
So yeah. It's like, and you can't really find that video either online. It's hard, but right before the first chorus, you'll see me with my Elijah Wood Hobbit Jufro, singing a bunch of times, and my best friend Pete Bune, who directed the Freaks, Nerds, and Romantics and was the head guy in Slacker TV, he spits gum at the camera at the very last shot of the music video.
Cool.
You should watch the gum and then just track his face and you'll see him. But that was September 4th, 2001, exactly 1 week before September 11th.
Wow.
That day we got to CBGB's to shoot that video, directed by this guy named Christian Winters. It was early in the morning. We got there at 9:00. We shot until noon. We went to see Wet Hot American Summer in theaters at the Village East for the first time.
Oh, so the best day ever.
I didn't even get to the best part.
Right, yeah.
And then we saw Jimmy Eat World.
What?
What?
Yeah, at Irving Plaza.
Oh, I was at that show.
Yeah. And we just made the last train before the long way back to Long Island, so we were able to get back there. I mean, it was just, what a day that was.
Wow.
Was I at that show? Did I go to that show with you? I don't feel like I did.
No, you didn't.
I didn't. Okay.
But, oh my God, just what a show that was. What a day that was. That is still one of the best days of my life.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. That's because you were a true believer, and being a true believer got you to have a day like that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we really wanted to be there. I mean, I think that this, and I would argue the last song on this, I know we'll get to that when we get to there. The last song on this album, I think are our two best songs.
Yeah.
And they are about who they are, and I mean, I can't really talk. It's so I'm sad. I want to hear what you have to say, because I just love this song so much I can't even talk about it. I feel like you just have to hear it and let it wash all over you. I would love to hear what your thoughts on it, though.
Well, to me, this is a song about celebration. This is a celebration song. This is a celebration of life song. That's why I think it's probably one of my favorites, and probably the most beloved, and probably their best, as we were saying. And I think it's interesting. You're saying you lived a very different life, and you were like a rule follower. I'm very similar, but what I take at it is, it's celebrating just being authentic and living lives with integrity and honesty, and just being your real who you are, and not backing down from our true selves. That to me is what true believers mean. So it's it doesn't matter if you're a punk or you're a camp counselor in the early 80s, or whatever you are, you just are authentic to who you are in every situation. And that's what the true believers is. You're a believer in yourself and who you are. I I don't know if it was on purpose, but I can't not think of True Believer, not think of Stan Lee and Marvel Comics. Always think about that. So those are hand in hand, and both, and also very similar. Like when you're reading, I think for a lot of people, especially, I don't know how the comics are now post the big movie boom, but there was a time when you were reading Marvel Comics, you felt like you were doing something special. You were being authentically you. You read Marvel Comics. I don't know. It all connects to me in that way.
I love
Well, and
that
at the end of
association you made.
at the end of every comic, every Marvel comic, there was like the message from Stan Lee, like, "Hey, true believers," and you were like, "Yeah, you were part of something kind of secretive, almost a private radio, if you will."
Yeah.
Jeff, I always had the same one. Always thought of Stan Lee. Two, this is. I agree with you. It is the ballad for the believers of the scene. I mean, that's what this. For me, that's what it's about. It doesn't matter. It's all the different people. He talks about all the different people he's seen, and like seen SEEN, not SCENE. Some of them split. They stay. Some come. They go. It's about life. People come and go in like your life all the time. Some will shine, some will burn, they'll rise, they'll fall. It's a lot of showing pros and cons, I guess. But for me, it's always been the people who are in the scene, who just want to listen to the music, who it's just the punk rock ethos, they want to be a part of it. It's a song for them. And because I even think that that becomes more clear for me at the end, because at the end everybody's singing along. Right, it builds toward that, where there's the big part at the end. We are the true believers, we are the true, and even the Oz, because the Oz are big, and they have a
Well,
lot of
that's
other
where,
people. The crew is there, you know what I mean?
yeah, and the audio. I mean, if you're ever fortunate enough to be in a crowd, to listen to like sing along with this song, you're gonna go nuts here. This song draws you in unlike anything else. This is where a crowd goes nuts, and again, you feel, honestly, I saw them back in December, and I felt like I was 18 again. It was incredible just to have that feeling of being young and having unlimited energy. And again, I do agree with, I love your interpretations. Again, I think that over time I've definitely come to see it that way, but I'm trying to think about who I was,
Yeah.
and I definitely didn't get that at the time. I felt like I'm not a true believer. And then of course we, after speaking 9/11, true believers were, instead of the great Stan Lee way we associated with, that was being associated with something that was negative,
Right.
fundamentalism and things like that. And it's amazing, that I love that they never felt any pressure to or hopefully never got any pressure to change the name of the song the same way that Jimmy World changed Bleed American to self-titled album after that album came out.
Oh yeah.
So that was always great. And again, it's just one of those songs they play every single show. They play with their whole hearts, and it's incredible. Just as good live as it is recorded on this album. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also like it's a song about your friendships and your relationships and things. Like it's like the kind of song that like you could play at like a graduation. You could play. In fact, I saw them one day at what was the Crazy Donkey in Farmingdale.
Yeah.
It was like an afternoon show of when high schools were graduating, and then like some kid was in his cap and gown, and like
I was at that show. I know
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, it's like that. You could play this at a wedding. You could play this, anytime. Like it's a perfect song.
I want to go to a wedding where this is played. That sounds like a good wedding to go to.
I feel like I really screwed up by not playing this in my wedding.
It could have been the walkout song, the dance song, the first dance.
I would have ended the well, if I was having a wedding, which I'm not, but if I was, I would put this at the end of the night.
That's a great song to end it with. I completely agree. Have people walk out to this, like, all right, leave, and also it'll chase the old people out. So
it will, and the true believers will run to the dance floor and jump.
That's exactly right. You'll find out who the true believers are.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
Well, let's find out who the true believers are out there and play this song.
Nice segue.
Thank you. Working on it. All right, here's True Believers by the Bouncing Souls. We've just blasted through 3 incredible songs, and this album has barely begun. What a start. What a start. Track 4, Better Life.
Jeff, want to talk 1 second on sequencing.
Ooh.
I think this and the next two songs, so a total of 3 songs, is like a little mini story that's hidden in the middle of this gem of a record.
Ooh,
So I
I
kind
like
of want
that.
to take the next 3 together
And what are the
because I
next three
think
songs?
the next 3 songs will be Better Life, Something Special, and Broken Record.
Right.
Mm.
So I want to take these 3 together because I think there's a little story here that I find interesting. And I love getting into these things where we start talking about the sequencing, because I feel the first 3 are the setup to the kind of what this album is about in general, and then we get kind of like a little story thing going on for a couple of songs. That work?
I
I
like
love
it.
that. I love that. And again, as soon as you said that, I'm like, man, that's brilliant. How have I never thought of that?
I don't know. 20 I don't know. I looked at again, it's like I gotta be honest with you, that's a relatively new thing to look at and be like, wait a minute, I think these guys are connected to each other. Or maybe they're not. I don't know. Let's get into them. Let's start with Better Life.
Yeah. Well, I think I can definitely see where you're going with it because I feel like when we get to Broken Record, a decision has been made,
Mm-hmm.
and Better
Mm-hmm.
Life is kind of like a hope is being talked of, a dream is being talked of.
And
Right.
it's
This is a love song. I think this is
Yeah.
this is a love song. It's okay. Go ahead, Jacob.
no, I was just saying, yeah, there are a bunch of love songs in this, like in the middle of the album here. This which kind of this leads into what I love is like, just musically, uh after True Believers, it's like, oh, you think this album's gonna let you like gonna slow at for a second. And so the way the song begins, it's like in media res, you're in the middle of the Trojan War. Like, it's just constant. It's like wait for the morning. You're like, whoa, okay. I don't have a time to absorb True
Yeah.
Believers. Like, oh my god, next track. I'm gonna have to go back and on the next listen through and just do this. And I love that. It's like, okay, yes, they obviously knew True Believers was released as a single before the album came out, like a couple
Mm.
couple weeks. So they knew what they had with this song, but they still were like, okay, no, we want to make an album that people are going to listen through. They're not just going to listen to that one track. And this is just bolstering that.
Yeah, this then becomes the most important song you sequencing wise because if you have this the career defining song, how do you follow that up? And then yeah, it's a banger. It's just like boom.
Yeah.
It yeah. Uh let's be honest. This album is nothing short of spectacular. But yeah, I think so. We're gonna get into like this little story thing, and I think they're sleeping over for the first time because they use a funny word in here that I only really kind of caught about like relatively recently, where he talks about wait the morning light to sneak up with surprise. So I'm wondering, is he like sneaking up into the room or sneaking out of the room to get out of there? Like he slept over for the first time. I'm going to use he and she just because it's stupid and lame, but I'll use that for the 2 stories. I've always wondered that if there's like this was like the first time they were getting together. And he's imagining the dreams of a better life with them, like
Mhm.
in their life, like kind of like a very Romeo and Juliet esque kind of thing, but hopefully not as it doesn't. Oh no, I guess it does kind of end badly. So yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is Romeo. It's the story of Romeo and Juliet. I don't think there's death though. I don't think everybody dies in the end, but I think definitely the relationship's gonna die. But he's meeting for the first time, like he says, I saw the first daylight shining in your eyes. So like waking up after having that one time together, and then you were mine, the world was ours, so full of possibility that we're together, that this world could be our oyster, and dreams of a better life that can come true. It's all there in you. So believing in you, I'm dreaming of this better life.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
that's amazing. And the line that I always love to sing and I just love it's my favorite line, but I think it actually hits it even farther home. It's like they're not just considering like this person could make their life better. They're saying it already is, right? Like
Mhm.
yesterday I was a loser, today I'm winning. Like that to me is like, oh, there you go. That is the emotional truth of this song.
Mine
And
too.
it's
I
not.
I always bust out. That's my favorite line of this too. And again, I feel like to agree with you, Phil, I feel like this song is like the opposite of a walk of shame after a one night stand. This
Right.
this song
Yeah.
is like I'm either with this person or I am by myself going home after just having like an amazing realizing that something great's going to happen between me and this person. and I'm about to go get like a breakfast sandwich from the local bodega, and the sun is out and it's a warm morning, and whatever I have planned for the day, I'm gonna be happy doing. No matter what, when I'm going to work, whether I'm going back to hang out with this girl, I'm at the start of something good. This is the start of a relationship, right?
Right.
I think it's beautiful.
It's that so total vibe. Like you like, I mean, think about it. It's like imagine you wake up after being with this person and the most amazing person, and it's the most awesome feeling knowing like this. You're right, Jeff. It's the most telling line. Yesterday I was a loser, but today I am winning. That is like I'm pumped. Let's go. I could take on the world. I'm gonna go down and get my breakfast sandwich from the bodega with a little bodega cat because I hope there's always a cat in a bodega. Always has to be. And just being on top of the feeling on top of the world.
Yeah.
It's the most hopeful. I think it's the most hopeful song on the album.
I
Like
just don't
in
think
that,
anybody can sing like Greg does in this song.
Yeah.
This is
no,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like it's such a hard song to sing, and I can't like every time I've actually tried singing it, like the shower or something, I'm like, oh, my throat hurts. But Greg will do this like in the middle of a set, and he'll keep going, and you're like, damn, you're amazing. Like I think that he's also just a very underrated singer and a unique singer. No one
Yeah.
sings like him, and I
yeah,
think this is
yeah.
one of those songs that
No,
really shows it off. His not only the lyricism. I don't know whether Brian or Pete or Greg wrote the lyrics to this. I don't know which one did or if they all did, but I do know, like, man, no one could sing it like this guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I like thinking about some of these bands. I feel like who come out of like the punk scene. It tends to be like the bands who have a singer who just doesn't quite sound like the rest of the bands in the scene.
yeah,
Like the ones who really
yeah.
like go the distance. It you need that little like special sauce that you don't want it all because like it especially with both emo and punk and hardcore. There's a tendency to all kind of go for the same vocal sound. At
Yeah.
least I think, but yeah.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of you see what other bands you're going to see what works, and you're going to kind of like mirror that a little bit to get some maybe the same notoriety. I love it when you have bands whose singers they sound a little different, and it makes them unique. And I think uh, Bounce never gets the credit for being the great singing group that they are. The call and answer they do a bit. Greg singing in general, just the way he pronounces things. There's such a uniqueness to it. It's not like in Thursday where he's got a unique way of singing.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna bring in. I'm gonna bring up Thursday whenever I can, or or what's his face? His name escapes me right now with Thrice. It just there's a certain
Dustin, yeah.
way. Dustin, thank you. The way Dustin sings, there's just a certain way of singing. Or Milo and the Descendants. There's a reason why these bands are so good is because there's a uniqueness in how they sound.
I also
Yeah,
say with Greg too, like his performance, no one looks as cool rattling off punk songs like he does. He always just looks so chill. Like he's
It,
just it's
nonchalant. Like
yeah,
it's like there's no big deal. The
yeah.
sing. Yeah,
You're
yeah, you're
saying these
right.
huge things, you have a whole crowd at your fingertips, and he's just like Mr. Cool. It's like the best.
you're also making me feel really bad about not including Thursday in my Mount Rushmore. I feel kind of bad about that now. And then, like, you just reminded me, I still haven't bought Jeff Rilke's book. Have
Oh,
any of you read it?
I haven't. I haven't. I
I
haven't.
I read it. I read it, and I put a picture on Insta stories with my dog so he would repost it, and he did. But no, it's no, yeah. Aside from that alone, no, it's incredible. He is. You could tell from his lyrics. We talked about it. We did an episode Thursday, and like you could
Yeah.
tell he was a poet. You could tell that he just had a literary mind, and to see him like put its pen to paper and write this incredible novel about an experience that like is harrowing. It's awesome.
I have very quickly, great Bouncing Souls Thursday story.
Oh,
Um, that
Well, it's good thing we're covering Balance and Souls and talking about Thursday. So go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead.
So just really quickly, we were invited. We became friends with them after right before this album came out, and would go to every show and film all their shows. And I have stories about that later on. But uh, they invited us when they were recording Anchors Away to come to the studio while they were mixing it. So, and actually, you can watch this video on YouTube of us going to when they were mixing the song "Blind Date" off that track, which is
yeah.
one of the most bizarre Bouncing Soul songs. It's not like anything they've ever done. So we were there, and while they were mixing at Big Blue Mini Studios in Jersey City, Thursday was also there recording War all the time. And so
Oh,
we went out to like use the bathroom, and we see Jeff Rickley just sitting in the office, and he's watching Trogdor the Burninator like on repeat, and he's just laughing to himself, and like he's like tearing laughing, and we go over to him and we start singing along with him, and he's like, ah! And so he brings us over, and he's just like, and we're just talking to him, and like, what the night? Oh my god, nicest guy you've ever met in your life. Just so sweet. He's talking about like again like his girlfriend at the time, and just how much he loves her, and just like really just like opening himself up to us. And I'm like, man, you are the real deal. So and he like was like, oh, you want to hear us like record a little bit? So we got to hear a little bit of them recording War all the time, which was, and I love that album.
Yeah.
So
that album's amazing. That album's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, what a great follow up to Full Collapse, you know? So yeah, that was great having them. Oh my God, they're both in the studio at the same time right now. Just two bands I love. It was incredible. And from there, Jeff Rickley told me, he goes, oh man, there's this band I just recorded for Eyeball Records called My Chemical Romance. You need to check out. And so that's where I learned about My Chemical Romance. And we talked about this band that I just seen open up for this band from Bloomington, Indiana. You might know I'm talking about right away, that I almost also picked. He goes, this band called Little Joe Gould. They changed their name to Murder by Death, right? And another incredible band. So Jeff Rickley kind of, I talked about having seen Little Joe Gould play at a hardcore show, which they did not belong on that bill. And he's like, oh man, you got to wait to hear what they're playing soon. So that day, I got to meet Jeff Rickley, and he turned me on to both let me know that Murder by Death, I'd already seen them, but Murder by Death was going to be putting out this amazing album soon, which they did. And of course, My Chemical Romance, which, incredible.
By the way, that story is amazing. I'm so jealous of that life story of yours. I want to live your entire life just to have that story. But also, I just want to take the opportunity to also mention, which this past year, obviously My Chemical Romance conquered the world. They became the biggest thing. But they did this big tour, and both Thursday and Amassing Souls were some of the openers they picked on the East Coast. Because they know their roots.
They really do.
That is the greatest story ever, and also proves that Jeff Rickley really is the nicest person ever, and has a beat on the pulse of the scene, because
we have some video of that encounter with him that I'll if I could send it to you. If I could find it, I'll send it to you.
All right, amazing. That's awesome. I love
we recorded everything back then, so yeah.
Reminds me a lot of when we had Norby on for talk about the movie life, and Norby would explain all the video stuff he had done back then too.
Oh yeah,
extensive.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeff Rickley's book, Someone Who Isn't Me. Everyone should read it. It's
is that gonna be season 2's constant plug? Is we're gonna instead of Dan Ozzy's sellout, we're gonna constantly go back to Jeff Rickley's book.
Maybe. I'm also just finishing up this book called Top 8: How MySpace Changed Music, which I'm probably gonna reference a lot now too. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great. I have to check that out.
The next one I have on my to be read pile, or TBR if you're into that, is where do you know where your boys are? The unofficial story about that's my
I have that on my pile too. Yeah.
Yep. Looking forward to getting to it.
I'm glad to be at the age when my youth is now classic rock. Books.
It burns. It burns.
That just hurts a little bit. That hurt a little bit.
Well, okay. So I worked at Borders for a while. And at one point, and I was working the music section, and Gene Simmons had put out a book. This is about 20 years ago, and the Borders got a bunch of copies that were autographed. And I remember this middle-aged man coming in and going through all the books trying to find the perfect signature. And I was just like, man, I'm never gonna be like that. But if Gerard Way puts out a book next month, I'm probably gonna go to the bookstore and go through and find the right signature. Right. So there you go.
Hey man, you've both written for DC Comics, so hell yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Look at you. It's a good icebreaker.
There it is.
That's true. It's true.
That's right. That's a great connection. Look at that. Yeah, I don't think we've ever told anybody that on this show. How Jeff wrote a comic book for DC Comics. That's right.
Oh yeah, man. Look, I have it. I bought it. I support. I go to Fourth World and make sure I support your stuff. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Fourth World was nice enough. I was so excited when I announced I was doing it. Fourth World DM'd me and was like, "Do you go want to do a signing?" I'm like, "Yes, I do want to do a signing at Fourth World Comics." It was the best.
That is also the best. One of the best places in the world. I think affected our childhoods more than anything else. Yeah, and still just thrives. And what a wonderful place that is. So shout out to Fourth World Comics. We love you.
Yes, I actually still have my pull list there. I
Do you really? That's
I,
hilarious.
it's down to like 2 or 3 titles a month now these days because comics are expensive and
Yeah.
how can you keep up? But yeah, it's because I buy so few. I'm like, I want Fourth World to be the place. So whenever I go visit family, I stop in because they are family.
They are.
They are family.
They
It
are
sounds as
something.
though
They are
they're.
something special. I would
Yeah,
say.
that's what I was gonna say. There sounds like there's something special. I mean, really, it is like that. Yeah, so here we go. Now we're gonna go into the second part of this kind of story. We're gonna talk about this something special. And that's kind of like a reference to, well, you're having something special, right? Between a relationship. But I don't think it's going good
But I mean,
in
better
this
life.
relationship.
Better life sounds so positive. Like he's gonna have a better life now. What could go
Right. And
wrong?
so now what could go wrong? Well, we can't agree on a single thing. We almost kill each other on the inside. I managed to be a jerk anyway, but it doesn't have to be this way. It's like they're in this relationship and things just aren't going great. And it's like he's asking, like, don't remember the things I said. Forget them. Ignore them. Pretend we never had them. Great song, by the way. Such a great song. It's such a great song. But he's like hoping to kind of forget the bad stuff that has happened or has said or has done. And he literally says, "I want to start again." Like he repeats that 4 or 5 times, four times, and then goes kind of this. The amount of times he says, "Forget about the things I said," it's a very pleading
Mhm.
case. He's like, "Forget about the things I said. Like I could be better. We could be better. I mean, we're just having a rough patch right now." What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I mean, I'll say that they play this is one of those songs they play every show.
Mhm.
This is I'd say top 5 Bouncing Soul songs. Um, but this is like when I mentioned that they are your big brother, kind of helping you guys navigating through life. This is like watching your older sibling go through a bad breakup and watching
Mhm.
them come out of it a few years later. So
Mhm.
again, the chorus, it's the same chorus, but it has different meanings every single time. To your exactly agree with you, verse 1. The verse 2, we all walk our separate ways. I don't know why. We hope we meet again somewhere someday. They've broken up. I get it. I really hope that like things maybe we can meet together down the line. Just remember the good times. Don't like forget about the things I said. Let's start it. If we ever meet again, let's start again. And then the third verse, I think about the two of us. I don't know why, because so much time has passed. I feel good on the inside. I'm different now. I want to stand alone. I have to be this
Right.
way. And now it's like, you're living your own life. I'm living my own life. I'm in a really good spot. I never ever want you to think about bad stuff that happened. I hope you can remember what we had fondly. And because I'm a different person now. I figured out how to be a human being, and I just God, this song is incredible. It really is. Like this song is like aging from your like being 15 to being 30 in
Yeah.
your
Like
maturity about a relationship. It's
in like 3 minutes.
in 3 minutes. This is like 15 years worth of wisdom about how
Mhm.
to get over heartbreak and how to be a better person, how not to just obsess, how to let go or get dragged. I mean, like, man, has a song ever been this deceptively wise? I don't think so.
Well, that's the Bouncing Souls in a nutshell. Deceptively wise. Like they
Yes.
they they play brash pop punk music, but they are the men with wisdom that they are dispensing. Um, do you think when we get based on your reading of it, when we get back to the last I want to start again, do you think it means I want to start again with this relationship, or I just want to start again in the next thing? And
I think the first time it means I like Phil said, I want to start again with this relationship. I just want us to like to
Mhm.
have a clean slate and start over. I don't mean what I said to you. The second one is like I think more ambiguous. Like
Mm.
I like okay, I blew it with this relationship, but I want to feel renewed. And the
yeah,
third one is I feel renewed and I still think of you sometimes in a really fond way. And I hope that you're not thinking of the bad stuff and you're only and you're taking the good stuff and you're bringing that to whatever new relationship you're in now, which is I think I mean I feel like that's how I found my wife, like how I navigated all the heartbreaks I've been in, and
yeah,
like especially looking back, I'm like, man, this is exactly what it's like. This is
yeah.
a metaphor for like becoming the type of person you want to who can like handle a relationship to going from like a whiny emo kid to being like a mature emo kid. Yeah.
Becoming the elder
Jake,
emo you were always meant to become.
the elder email is always meant to become. And actually, Jacob, I'm going to take that where you the more ambiguous toward the end. I'm going to challenge that slightly because if you connect in the next song, A Broken Record, where he talks about basically understanding the last line that's of of some specials. I want to start again. Go to Broken Record. He's talking about getting out.
Yeah.
And starting again, right? So I think that's why it makes this a three-piece connection between these little cute little moment in the sequencing of the songs. But if you go and slide into Broken Record at this point, he feels stuck, right?
Yeah.
And he's like literally acknowledging that, and is like, "Look, I love every one of you, but I have to go. I got to get out.
Mhm.
I got to start over. I got to change the scenery. Need to find myself someplace else." Jeff, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, if you connect them like that, I think that it's interesting because like they are separate songs.
Right.
This exercise is kind of making it that way because like there's something special. It could be the place where you get to you think you're ready to go back into it, but like a broken record means you're kind of getting stuck in the same thing. So like even if their perception of like themselves has changed and they think they're more ready now to start again, sometimes this thing just isn't meant to work, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
right on. For me, like, when I from knowing these guys and like knowing their lives, I hear different voices even when Greg's singing the song, and Brian sings a song later in this album.
yeah,
But this feels like a Brian song to me. Like, Greg at this point is married, Shanti Wintergate, most beautiful couple in the world. They have a son who's adorable, Eversai. They're still making kids. They make kids music together. They did a tour of Long Island. If they ever come to your library, make sure you see them. Their kids music is amazing. It's really, really good. And they should be huge and famous for that. But like, I really, Brian's living in the Lower East Side at the time, and this is we're talking about we're fully on a broken record now. Or are we still on something,
Yeah.
that's something special? Okay.
yep,
I just think, I definitely see like Brian's like the motorcyclist. I mean, so is Pete. But Brian in this album and the next album, Anchors Away, there's a song Night Train, which is very much about like, hey, there's times you just have to get out of your own head. And I think in the second verse, I learned the hard way, when you give yourself away, you give away your life too. That part of being in a relationship is not changing yourself from who you are to you can't even recognize yourself anymore, because then like, who are you dating, and what is that person, does that person love you, or do they love who they've molded you into? How are you staying true to who you are in a relationship? And I think that, like, there's definitely like a dark night of the soul that can happen here. And I love that. I think that, even after you've kind of like I think nobody is immune from subsuming themselves in who they think they need to be, or who they think their partner wants. And I think that, again, this is just a great way of like, hey, you need to make sure that you are making time for yourself and your friends when you're in a relationship. And, in a very fun way, Manthem, which is coming up, is about making sure you build in that time. So again, we're talking about like work love life balance here, which, when you're 20 years old, you have really no concept of. But 30s and 40s, you look at the lyrics to this and you're like, huh, okay, there's something here that is like kind of warning me, or was warning me, that I didn't listen to and I didn't figure out, or I wasn't ready for. So
yeah.
I love how you see that, Phil. I really do. As three songs just telling a story, because that makes so much sense to me.
No, everything you said was so well put as well. Like this broken record, I mean, the chorus, at least for this one, nowhere to run from myself, nowhere to hide from the truth. I mean, this is where like I said earlier, like this is the album where I feel like they got really introspective, and like here is like, this is someone who's really kind of like taking a look around and looking at themselves, and like maybe they aren't quite the people who are singing true believer. They're not being a true believer in themselves. They've kind of lost themselves. So it's like the other side of that part. And it's like trying to get the broken record is, you want to like change the track and move on, but it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like in Better Life, there's naivety in a naivete. That's not, I would like nativity and naivete together, but there's a naiveness in Better Life that feels very young. And then over these three songs, like you said, there's the maturation of just kind of growing up over these three songs. And at the end of it, he's realized where he's happiest, I think, is, and that's in the streets with your friends. and being a part of, I think, getting back to the true believer part, being a part of a community.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That I buy all of that.
It's a lot of fun just to do all these look backs and figure out if there's something. I love sequencing. I love looking at it, see whether or not there is something there. 1, 2, 3. Jacob, if you could play one of these 3 songs, which one would you want to play?
Oh, I mean, whew.
On
That's
the
something
spot, I know.
that's something special. I mean,
There
again,
it is.
Special.
top
Yeah.
5 bouncing soul song. And just you'll find yourself, even if it's your first time hearing the song, if you're not singing the chorus by the end, there's something wrong with you. Go
All
fix
right.
your heart.
Yeah, go fix your heart if you don't feel this one. This is the Something Special by the Bouncing Souls. All right. Well, we're back. Hopefully that some people who didn't feel that song are getting their heart fixed. Or maybe they're just throwing on a Lifetime album. But the band Lifetime, also from New Jersey. And also the name of the next track, Lifetime.
I love this one. It's like this is where we finally kind of really slow down.
Yep.
You know, right before Manthem hits, which Manthem's gonna hit next. It's a sweet song. It's a love song. It's about everything's going well here. You know, there's nothing like. I think that it's about being on tour and missing the person you love. I think that's what it is. Or just like, again, I think of this song sometimes when I'm like, I'm away from my wife, you know, like I'm traveling or something. Like, it's so sweet. You know, it's so sweet. It's poetic. It's lovely, you know, it's what it's saying. It's unabashed. And I think that's such a hard thing to do, especially in 2001, right?
Yeah.
To be that genuine and that, you know, it's almost, it would be embarrassing if it wasn't so sincere and earnest.
Yeah.
And it is sincere, so it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the sincerity is what pulls you through the whole way. The other thing I got listening to it, I think I agree with you 100%. Everything you said, what a beautiful love song it is, and whether they're apart and they're just thinking about being together. I got this feeling of like, you know, this idea of tomorrow's a lifetime away. She's all I want today. Everything is great with her right now. It's a song about like kind of like being mindful and present in something that's happening right now, and it's great. And again, going back to the Bouncing Souls being I love this, the positive older brother. It's like, yeah, sit in those feelings, enjoy it, like, because it's happening right now, and you don't want to miss this, because you know, you can't feel this way forever. You know, we can sing along forever, but nothing lasts forever. Yeah. And you know, I don't know. So I'm going with mindfulness for this one.
Yeah,
it's very frank. It's like you said, the older brother coming in and being like, dude, sunny days can turn gray real quick. Like and I live in New England. I mean, I can have snow, sleet, rain, and wind all in a single hour. I mean, that's just what happens up here. But like, so I think and I think Jeff, it says it's to appreciate what you have. Although to a point, I feel like there is some level of like trying to get to something kind of unattainable here, because it's always a construct. He has to think about them in his head. So I always find like there's a little bit of that going through this song, but that it's a unabashed love song. It's sincere. It's not afraid to actually like put your heart on your sleeves, which is very different for 2001 in this scene. Unless you're H2O, because H2O, their emotions were always on their sleeve. That's how Toby works. Which is why it was funny when you said the Lower East Side. I was like, immediately thought of H2O. And it's a song about being, I guess, almost vulnerable in a sense, and in that it's okay to want something and be with somebody, and that's okay, but appreciate and be present. Jeff, you said be present. That's exactly what I see here.
Well, you just said being vulnerable, and I think musically that's what the song does, because the verses kind of come out like fast, like a normal like pop punk song, and then the chorus kicks in and it slows down. Right. Like that's where like you're putting the punk rock stuff aside and you're just being your heart.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I don't know why this song always reminds me of I'm assuming you guys read it as comic book people, the last issue of Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
Just when the old Yorick is telling the clone Yorick, not to spoil the whole series for you, but that, like, you know, go out there and get your heart kicked in so it's ready for you when you need it. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I might have nailed it, the quote, but that quote has stayed with me my whole life. I've never forgotten it. And it's kind of like, when you are ready for that right person, you know to value them, and like you said, you know to stay in the moment the way that the real York couldn't. Not going to spoil that, but you need to read that series if you haven't read that.
Well, don't worry. If you did misquote it, Brian K. Vaughan is actually going to send an angry letter to Phil in New Hampshire about it. So
that's
perfect.
me. I get all the hate mail. Here I go.
If Brian K. Vaughan were to listen to this, I'd be psyched. Like
so would I. Yeah, I'd be like, because Saga is one of the books I am still pulling.
Oh yeah, that's. I had to go digital for that. I subscribe on freaking Comixology, but it's like every time a new issue comes out, it's like
yeah, it's just the gift that keeps giving.
Reading is reading, man. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't really matter the platform.
This has been Phil Korber for digital books.
Which is funny because I have both a physical and a digital book. No, well, it's funny. I think when I get into that debate about just reading, I guess reading in general, what you read, I have to go back to my mom. And my mom let me read comic books because I didn't want to read otherwise. And she let me read comic books because I was fucking reading. And that was all that mattered to her, was that I was reading. And even when I was bad, I got in trouble and I couldn't get my comics. I remember this. I don't even know what I did, but for this period of 2 months, I couldn't go to the comic book store and pick up my comics. I did something bad. I know. I don't remember what it was. It was so horrible. But my mom was secretly going every week to grab my pulls and to buy them and have them ready for me, so I didn't miss a beat when I got out of the trouble. So that action she did has instilled in me that reading's reading. I don't care if it's digital or in physical book versus a digital book. Reading's reading. Although in the digital world I have a preference to the physical book because then it can't be suddenly gone. In case my Kindle died, I still have the physical book.
Well, that's the thing. Phil, books are your old friends. They're your buddies for life. And
for life.
And sometimes, you get a night off from the family. You're giving your girl the night off, and you're gonna go hang out with your buds.
Wow.
Well yeah. I'm gonna go sit in my world, I'm gonna go sit in my nice easy chair with a little soft lighting, bust out my book and perhaps a black coffee and enjoy a night of just reading.
Yeah, Phil's gonna read some Proust, and that's his Manthem.
Proust.
Manthem is the 8th track on this album, and I don't really understand why I love this song so much, because the idea of like a guy's night is so like lame to me in my mind. Like that whole like machismo thing. But like this song,
not from them. It's just
not from them. They make it feel so like, I don't know, just like the whole song way it's structured is like, got the night off, gonna call my boys tonight. We're gonna go out. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna go to a punk rock show. Like, I don't know. It's just it's got the Oys.
It's got the Oys. Who doesn't love to do a little sing along? I mean, no, really, that's the point of this. Also, this is a fun song about going out and hanging out with the boys, and then enter whatever you want for the boys. It could be the girls. It could be the boys and girls. It could be what. It doesn't matter. It's hanging out with your friends, and like I don't care what we're gonna do. Like he was like, I don't even care what we do. Like let's just go and have fun and see where the night takes us, and that's all it is.
It's also
hilarious.
It's not toxic. It's not
broy.
No,
it's like they're also singing to each other. Like again, Greg sings the first verse. Pete sings the first half of the second verse. Brian sings the second half of the second verse. It's really great. It's them really all together. It's about like them and what they do, because like again, they're being very specific about what they do. They go to a punk rock show. About what this is what they want. This is how they hang out. This is, and it's like a busman's holiday. Do you know that term?
No.
So I learned this term.
No.
It's a British term that like people who drive buses in England, like those double-decker buses, they don't make it so much money that like they can go on lavish vacations. So when they go on vacations, typically they're traveling by bus. So like it's like when you do something for a living and then for fun, you're still doing that thing in a different capacity. It's great. Like, hey, what we do is we love what we do so much. We love our camaraderie so much that we're gonna go see our friends' bands on our time off because like we are so dedicated to this. And this is like we're gonna constantly like it's not about just being bros and being stupid and being drunk. This is about refilling the well.
Yes.
That like when we are creatively exhausted and we're touring, we're watching other bands to remind ourselves why we do it. And this is a song about why they have lasted almost 35 years.
Yeah, because they're actually friends, right? Like they're actually like these.
Sorry,
they're still doing the things.
Years. Sorry, they've been around. Sorry, no, they're almost 40. The band is almost 40. They're 36 years old as a band. That's sorry, right. I miscalculated. Yeah, 2027 will be 40 years as a band. This is them. They love each other,
Yeah. It's a bond that will never die till the end of time.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just let's go hang out and that was refill the well. That's really good because that's really what it is. It's just that let's go out and have a good time, guys. It's a positive song. Again, it's not going out and getting drunk and wasted or doing nor is it a sarcastic song. Like I often think about this like in comparison to like TV Party by Black Flag. TV Party by Black Flag is a sarcastic song. Right, making fun of guys hanging out, getting drunk, watching TV. This is a positive song where a bunch of guys getting together, going to the punk rock show, and just having a good time together and building on something instead of like trying to deconstruct something.
And just on the subject of when we talked about how they're deceptively wise, deceptively complex, again, they're not used, even though they're all very well read, they're really smart guys. They never talk down to their audience.
Yep.
They are just like, we're with you. Like, this is something that, anybody can do this. Anybody can preserve. If you really value your friendships, you preserve them no matter kind of what happens. And again, that's what we made Freaks and Romantics about. This is maybe what the film is about in many ways, is like knowing, is keeping these bonds no matter how things change. That your life will change. You'll have a wife and you're giving her the night off sometimes, so you can just do these things. And it's so important. It transcends distance. It transcends time. And they have. This is like the band's thesis in many ways, and they've lived by it. They really live it, and they inspire us to live by it. So I love this song so much because of that.
Yeah, you're hitting it so. It's like this is. Everything you just said, yes to all of it, because it is. It sounds like this fun kind of party song, but like when you break it down like that, this is their love letter to each other. This is our best friendship on display here. Just have to tell you this because I'm hanging out with Steinkopf, which is Pete's last name.
Yeah,
I always thought he said hanging out with Cyclops, and I just thought it was some punk guy from the scene who either lost one eye or was just a huge X-Men fanatic and like a Cyclops apologist and is like a pissed that Wolverine gets all the credit when it should be Cyclops. Anyway, that was the backstory I had. So yeah, I'm not.
I mean, keep in mind we were from an era where we heard Rivers Cuomo sing about Excalibur, like right, Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler. So it's not beyond the realm of possibilities. And it's kind of what you want to hear. You're like, oh my god, they love X-Men as much as I do? Well, I love this band even more now.
Yeah. All the soccer kids got the Mountain Souls love soccer, but I'm like, where's the comic books?
I remember when that song dropped by Weezer, I was like, wow, this band's a bunch of geeks like me. I think that like I found such a connectivity to that. Yes.
And I will say that this album came around at the same time that the Green album came out.
Yeah.
And I remember I was very excited for new Weezer, but it kind of wore off a little quickly for me. Yeah. I was kind of like, this album's not what I want it to be, and you realize how important Matt Sharp was to Weezer.
Yep.
And then this is the album that's like, ooh, this is the album that just gives you everything you didn't even know you wanted. So this is the album that kicked the Green album out of my CD player. Yeah.
Green album's very one note.
Yeah.
Like every song is very much the same. Also, it's sad it comes after Pinkerton.
Yeah, it's hard to follow Pinkerton in a 5-year anticipation of what that could be. I will say that there are some songs on the Green album I go back to that I'm like, oh wow, that's actually really good on its own, but it doesn't fit as part of a record. like Crab.
Yeah, good point.
I'm like, oh man,
That is
what? It's a good song. I'm like, damn.
that is a deceptively good song. You know, you're
Yeah,
right, and I just it just doesn't fit on that. Yeah,
yeah.
obviously, guys, I'm not a fan of that album. That's okay. You
Yeah.
know what I am a fan of though, Jeff?
Mantham?
Mantham.
Yes,
Are
Mantham.
you a phantom of Mantham?
I
And
You're damn right
just
I am.
a couple months ago, actually, Shanti and a bunch of like this like rock collective, they made Womantham. They made a response song to it.
That's
And
amazing.
it's kind of just like it's not like a diss track. It's like we love it. They say they wrote, quote, the song Anthem has always resonated with us as a shout out to friendship, camaraderie, and the relentless spirit of unity. Whether we listen to it through our speakers turned up to 11 or watch the Bouncing Souls perform it live, it's always a good time. Our aim was not merely to recreate what was already a brilliant track, but to pay homage to its enduring message while infusing our unique female perspective and energy. And it's a lot of fun. So I recommend that to all of you out
Yes. Everyone listen to
Yeah,
Womantham.
yeah. If and I lived in a small village in England, I might be a Bantham Phantom
there.
of Mantham.
Nice. Well
Wow.
done.
How long have you been sitting on that,
So,
Phil?
uh, at least while Jacob was talking.
Yeah. You're just like eager to like, oh, I want to say this.
I was like, there's a town called Bantham somewhere, and I'm pretty sure of it. And I was right. There it
Well,
is.
there is a town called Bantham,
Anyway,
and hopefully their jukebox bars are playing Mantham. Because we're gonna bully the
so
jukebox and put Mantham on right now. Here is Mantham. We are back, and it's time for a breakup song.
I don't want to break up. No breaking up.
Yeah, this one cuts. This one cuts
Yeah.
deep. Again, there's been a lot of songs about relationships here, good ones, bad ones. Uh, being honest, this song is somewhere in the middle. This one is also ambiguous. I think this goes along with those three tracks as well. Just you start off immediately. Just it start again. This song, like so many tracks on this album, just almost no introduction. There's like a very quick guitar like piece, and that Pete does. It's very pretty. And then it goes into this, and speeds up very quickly. Right, just again, I don't want this anymore is all I heard her say as I grab my stuff and head out the door. My music in my phones, my bike under my feet. Again, this sounds again like a Brian song. Again, things start to look different as I got out on the street. Sometimes I see your face and the new people I meet. We're not who we thought we were. We saw this dream. And again, the chorus just sometimes when I just can't sleep, I hear the words you said to me. How did you get so deep inside of me? I mean, this is just like ending with where he says, sometimes it takes a painful loss to realize you are free. How did you get so deep inside of me? This is one of those, like, sometimes it takes a while to get over things. And sometimes relationships haunt you. So I like that we get a spectrum of looking at breakups from at least not just one perspective. We get at least two different band members' perspectives. They write their songs as the Bouncing Souls, and this one is just as valid, just as relatable. Everyone's been through breakups that are like, I think you could, depending on your level of experience, of course, you can look at any of these songs and be like, yep, been through that one and been through this one, and here's another one that is and it's a great song with a really cool guitar solo that I love.
So good.
And they don't really do that very often, but here it's great.
Well,
I actually think.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Phil. No, go ahead. Phil.
You I actually think this could be another 3-part story between breakup song, Streetlight, and Late Bloomer. I think there's actually kind of a connective tissue.
Oh
between
yes,
them.
absolutely.
I think breakup song, like you said, is actually, like we've kind of said with this, it's actually a deceptively complex song. I think it also gives credence to the idea that the impact a person can have on you long term, even though you're not with them anymore. Because he says, like, how did you get so deep inside of me? I've always felt like that he's acknowledging, or they are acknowledging. I try my best not to go with the he, she, pro. Anyway, that they're acknowledging that they have learned something from this person, even though the relationship went south. It's that he realized that it was ultimately, it was kind of like the right thing to do was to break up. That I'm learning more, your words are really, they sit with me, even though we're not together anymore. And I don't know what the length of time is that between when they're reminiscing and when the breakup happened. but like, because he says like, I admit the past is gone. I wake up and I love this. Like, I wake up and I refine, which I think is such a great line because it's not you. That means you had to look at yourself in order to refine something. You have to actually take an objective stock of it and then figure out, well, how do I make it better? And I think that's what he's going to. Moving forward to the next lifetime, I leave it all behind. But basically, is like he's acknowledging the importance of what the credence of what this other person had on the impact they had, and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna use this as a learning opportunity to work on me, maybe. Jeff, what are you gonna say?
No, I agree 100%. And I think that what's also complex with this song is I think when you get to the bridge, which you just quoted, I wake up and I move on, I admit the past is gone. It's almost like he's telling, or they are telling us that they were able to move on from this. They're going through it and explaining the pain they went through, but it was like this thing that their ex-partner has said, sometimes takes a painful loss to realize you are free, like Jacob, like you pointed out earlier. At first they're like, why do I hear your words inside me? And then eventually they hear those words. Right. And that's right. How you get to, and now I'm ready to move forward to the next lifetime. So it's like, again, older brother being like, I went through this really painful relationship and it was really hard. And I didn't feel like it was ever going to get that person's voice out of my head. But then I finally listened to that voice and it told me what I had to do.
Yeah, to that point, again, this is like one of those relationships where somebody notices something about you at your core. Right? Something that doesn't feel really possible to change, at least at where you are in your life now. And it's like one of those things where it's like, you need therapy, or you really need to talk about this trauma, or you really need to deal with this thing if you want to have a successful relationship again. And we're doing that. Again, here we are, we're still having conversations about why men don't work on their core traumas and deal with who they are and move forward. And here they are 20 years before that even became kind of popular to talk about. And they're singing about it. They're talking about why it's worthwhile to do. Again, just here are positive role models, kids, about doing it, talking about it again. And they're not trying to do this whole pseudo like mystical spiritual thing. They're just saying, look, this is life. This is hard. This is blue collar and real. And you don't need to make it a flowery thing about it, but you do need to work on yourself. And again, and when you hear that when you still hear these words and they're haunting you, it might mean you still have work to do. And maybe when they don't haunt you anymore, you realize how far you've come. You'll still hear them, but you'll realize, I'm not that person anymore. I figured it out. And I think that's just super valuable and super beautiful. Right? Timeless, this song.
Yeah. Well put. I feel like you could actually take what you just said and go to a streetlight and serenade it with your take on this. Instead of serenading to no one, streetlight serenaded no one. Streetlight serenaded us with that information, and now we are on to the next song that Phil claims is a trilogy.
I do. Well, because the last song he talks about getting his shit, get out on his bike. And here we are out on his bike.
He's out on the bike. Yeah.
And so I was like, look, man, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I think I see connective tissue when I see it. He's out on his bike. It's him weaving through traffic. I love it. Checking himself out in the window, is it like Chase? I cruise myself on the glass. That's like, such a cool way of saying that. Can he be any cooler? Like, honestly, it's just the way he sings and his presence on stage. Just that phrase is, I cruise myself on the glass. That's so cool.
Yeah. So this is,
so
Brian, this is a song that Brian sings,
yeah.
And it's him on the, this is the other precursor to Night Train, which will be on the next album, which is one of my favorite, a great bouncing soul song. You should all listen to that. And it's like, for me, this is like a late intermission song.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, we just threw a lot at you, especially in the last track. We took you to the high highs of Anthem. We took you to the low lows of Breakup Song. And here's this like sweet, contemplative song that's about, for me, taking a breather and taking stock and noticing the little things that calm you down. And it's like a palate cleanser for life, as well as for listening to the last few tracks of this song, last 3 tracks of this album, rather. So I love this, just because it's silly. They in their self-titled album, there are a bunch of like silly songs, like Holiday Cocktail Hour and Shark Attack and things like that. And it's kind of like, this is the this is like the only kind of remnant of that. It's not that silly, but I think it's the silliest song. And I think that like this is for the squirrel, my squirrel's in the park and every dog that doesn't bark. It's hilarious. But it's also like you realize what this song is. It's a palate cleanser. I'm just gonna repeat myself. I'm gonna stop repeating myself. I'm just gonna stop here. Period.
Okay.
Full stop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna full stop. Full stop.
Full stop. I mean, it's like a dreamy little ditty is how it's like, it's very dreamy sounding. It's just kind of like, yeah, I like how you described it as a late interlude, because that really is what it feels like. Because it doesn't feel like a full song. It just kind of feels like this little like exhale, and then we're gonna go into
late bloomer.
Late bloomer. What's
So
a late?
Here we are.
What's a late bloomer, Phil?
We're at the end. I think we're at the end of the story where he comes and I just saw you walking past me just the other day. Another heartbeat with thoughts of yesterday. So I think this is him seeing the person from 2 songs ago, and is reminiscing about that person, but about how they could never, what could have been, like could they ever sync up? That was the phrase he used. I still wonder why our hearts could never rhyme. So I just feel like that's like why they couldn't sync up together and be a couple or be together. You stood right next to me, but literally you didn't recognize me. Funny how things never change. I thought that was funny. But when you walked on by, a memory surprised me. Smoking cigarettes, your girlfriend's by the pool, smell I could not forget. That's the closest I get. You were so fucking cool. I feel like that's where it's the realization, to a degree, that you're not the same person you were 2 songs ago. You kind of grown up a little bit. Again, this whole album, I think, is about maturation. It's about growing up, and the band does a great job to lyrically, even sound audibly. Let's go with that. They sound much more grown up in this album. So I think this is the end of the second 3-part story.
I love how like this is almost like just like how grief isn't linear. Also this is like a song about grief. It's again, the first verse is like, I think like in context, like in temporally the last part of it, right? Here you are, where it's many years later. I can't believe it didn't work out. You didn't recognize me, like here we are, and then I have these memories, and man, why can't we just be like a dysfunctional relationship? Why couldn't we just stay dysfunctional? I kind of there was something that was kind of great about that. Like, and then the end of verse 3, like, fuck the rest before me and their crimes, for your love I'll serve their time. Like, maybe we got together, you were still dealing with being in bad relationships that you brought to this one. I would gladly be the target of that. Like, I like it's okay if you would take my flaws, I would take your flaws too, and just deal with that. Because sometimes you're like, just damn, there was something about it that was really worth it, even though I recognize this was not a healthy relationship. And I think that everybody has those moments of weakness at some point in their lives. And again, it's just here we are being really honest, and it's great. And this is a song that, again, they play live a lot. And I think that musically, I love this. I think some of the best, just the best musicianship in this, just it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, I agree. I think sonically it's one of my favorite songs to listen to on the album. So I'm always happy to hear it. And also for a deep track on the album to be this good too is, again, this is like the whole way through they've been saying this is not an album that's surrounding a single or two. There's no filler here. We are.
Yeah.
But the late bloomer of it all, like this idea of like now realizing, oh, maybe that was a pretty good relationship. Not perfect. Like, obviously this whole thing, like, well, literally saying like, I'm no good, you're no better. Wouldn't we be perfect together? This kind of like all this growth, and realizing like maybe they were trying too hard to be perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Well, that's where I think the title, a late bloomer. Like this relationship could have been a late bloomer. Like this could have been really good. Or I myself was a late bloomer to realize how good the relationship probably could have been. Even though it sounds kind of negative, like it sounds, I don't know. It sounds like they're both equal parts positive and negative. Which, realizing now through this exercise, it seems like it comes up a lot. There's a lot of equal parts of pro and con on this album. which is, and I think Jacob used the word a moment ago that I think really connects to this album, which is honest.
Yeah, there's
Very
also just
honest.
no demonization as well. Like no one's ever putting me down, even though he says like, you left me torn apart, right? And again, I'm no good, you're no better, equal. But I love just the first two lines, right? I saw you walking past me just the other day, another heartbeat with thoughts of yesterday. Like there's generosity of spirit there.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I'm going to assume that you are also a reflective human being, which is something that I think very few people are willing to give to somebody whether they're mad at or that they have hurt feelings towards. Like, hey, do you not think about this at all? Like, no, everybody, you have to assume that everybody to some extent is reflective, even though that's not the truth. you know, uh, like there's
Right.
just that it's just a generous thing to say, to do that. Like this could easily be a song, you bitch, you broke my heart, and they never ever ever do
No.
that to
And
anybody.
in fact, it gets to you were so fucking cool.
You're so
Like
cool.
Right.
just clearly
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah,
that relationship kind of sucked, but man, you were great.
yeah,
Which even given the time when this album came out in 2001, the fact that we're not blaming the woman in this relationship is kind of impressive. Not kind of,
yeah.
it is impressive because
Mhm.
I feel like this was saves the day. They'd be blaming her left and right for all the things. I mean, with
And
some
whining,
fun
yes.
and whining about the entire time and ripping out spleens and gouging eyes. I mean, it's just this over the top, but it. But they don't do that, like there's like an honest, like, yeah, so fucking cool, and but like they use it, you weren't any better. Like it's very frank, it's but not curt. It's like very to the point and honest, but also introspective and retrospective at the same time.
Well,
Um,
well, Phil, let's play Late Bloomer because it rules, and then we'll get to the last two songs on this album coming up.
Oh
oh my
Here we
man, I can't
go.
believe we're
goodness,
getting there.
I know. Here is Late Bloomer by the Bouncing Souls.
Jeff, do you feel you're on the outside looking in?
Yeah, because we're on Zoom, which kind of makes it feel like that way, because you're like in my computer right now, and I'm
That's
outside the
that's a
computer.
fair that's a fair point. That is a fair point. I didn't think of it from that perspective. Well done, well done. What song are we talking about, Jeff?
The penultimate song, Phil. It's
That's
called No
right.
Comply.
We have reached the penultimate song. No comply.
Ugh.
Anybody
And what a
know what
what a great
no comply?
song to just build back up, right? Sorry,
Right?
sorry, Phil, I stepped over you. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, anybody know what a no comply is?
Yeah, it's a skateboarding term, and what's crazy about this is that uh they did get a song from this album did get picked up for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, but it was True
Yep.
Believers
That's
and
right.
not this song. And
Not this song.
I'm pretty sure this is the song they were trying to get on that sound, because this is also a good skating song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a good skating song. Yeah, yeah. The move is you have to plant your front foot and then pop the board with only your back foot.
Yeah.
As a guy who just basically would get on a skateboard and just fall off, I find this to be an impressive move. Just saying.
This
Jeff,
used
you
to
played
be
Tony Hawk. Did you used to do the no comply?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. I think it was one of the easier moves to pull off in that
That
game.
that makes me feel good considering I was a guy who just would get on a skateboard and fall off. And this is one of the now you're telling me it's one of the easier moves to pull off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait, would you fall off in real life, Bill, or while playing
No,
Tony Hawk?
legit. I would get on, go about 3 feet, and then like inevitably gravity would be like, nah, Phil, you belong down here, and down I would go.
Yeah, I got a skateboard, during like, here's Bart Simpson, and it's like, okay, cool, I need one too. And I learned very quickly that this is not for me. But hey, on my GameCube, I guess, where I was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, I was badass at that. This is great.
Yeah, all I need is Millen Collins' No Cigar, and suddenly I am Tony Hawk.
Oh, it was great. But
Uh,
this song, I will
I
say though, No Comply, this used to be my favorite song off the album.
Oh, cool.
I love this. I love this song. I love this song so
Yeah,
much.
I just it's so, like, again, you've gotten through, this is the another great just affirmation song. This and Gone, just like, this is about everything's gonna be okay. Self-reliance, um, knowing that things are gonna be okay. Again, your big brother talking to you and just letting you know, just like Everybody took the pain of growing up and I walked on through. This time I'm showing up. I feel great. How about you? I'm like, I got through this. I went through shit. I sung about, you heard about it earlier in the album. I'm challenging you to do the same. I am absolutely challenging you to survive, to not give up. I mean, what more can you ask for from a band?
It's where he says, I went through all the, I think this is the most telling line. I went through all the things I had to get to where I am. Right. So like understand that life, let's be honest, man, some days it just sucks. It's just not fun and it's difficult and you don't want to deal with things. Like you just want to ostrich it and bury your head in the sand. But you have to go through things. But these things that you go through are what's going to shape you into who you will be tomorrow. That's what I love about this song. It's like positive affirmation. Yes, it can be hard sometimes, but you will get through it. I got through it. You can get through it. We will all get through it. And possibly it's like we'll get through it together. Right? Because I got this big older brother in Balancing Souls.
Well, it's funny, Phil, you mentioned that line too. Myself, the only truth that I've known, went through all the things I had to do. But at no point do they say like, and now you have to. They just say sometimes it stings. So like they're not coming off of this idea of like this older brother or older band to a baby band being like there's no hazing here. It's just like I went on my path. It was hard. Yours is gonna be hard too, but like in a different way.
It'll be hard for whatever your path, however your path is hard. Yes. Why is it then called No Comply?
Again, I think they were going for the Tony Hawk thing.
Straight up for the Tony Hawk thing? That's hilarious.
I kind of want to ask them now. I wonder if they remember. But again, this is like when I think about my career as a teacher, and like just like dealing with teenagers who are going through some real stuff. I teach in the South Bronx. Some kids go through some real stuff there, and my mission as a teacher is to be like, hey, I want to let young people know that the world they're about to enter is really scary, but they're going to be all right. And that, especially since I teach, filmmaking in English, and now I'm just doing filmmaking for real. Like, when they say, let the world know how I feel, and it's real, right? At the very end of this, like that is, you never know how not only writing something down or making a film about something you went through can be healing, but it also can be lucrative. That's what the Balancing Souls are. Hey, we are sharing what we've gone through with you. This is how we're making our living,
right?
Is by making music about life and about persistence and perseverance and grit, but also allowing yourself time to feel and process things, and so this and the next song are once again just like, here's what this album's about.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. I've said the beautiful so much about almost every track on this album. I've overused the word, but this whole album is beautiful, and this is just one of those special tracks that I don't know. I think they should definitely play this more live. But it's definitely one of their best songs and one of those like lyrics that people need to hear more.
Well, you've teed it up like how the album really closes with its final message to really bring it home, and I think this starts it. Saying that things are going to be okay. You're going to be fine. It's real. I'm real. I've been through it. I'm here for you. And we go into Gone, the final song on the album.
Gone. Final song. Here we are. We've reached the end. I don't want this song to be gone, this album to be gone though. That's the sad part. Is like I get sad that this album is actually going to end. Like I do. Like it's one of those ones I kind of wish, even though it's 13 songs and 5 minutes, I think it is, something like that. It's just, I feel like I want this little nugget of goodness to keep on going. You know what I mean? Like so I'll just, I'll hit restart. We'll go right back to the.
Do you think, Phil, that's partly because of how great of a song Gone is? It's like, it's like they level up on this song in a way that I don't ever expect. And this song comes on and it feels like we're just embarking on something with this song, just because sonically and just lyrically, it's like, again, I go back to this being the maturation album of Bouncing Souls. Not that they weren't like mature before, but like this really hits home.
This is the song that you will see people crying like during this song. This is a song that Greg and the band will dedicate to like somebody they know who like they have family who had had a loss in their family, like somebody lost somebody to cancer, and they'll talk about it and sing about it, and you'll see that those family members just streaming and streaming, crying, tears streaming down their face and singing along. It's so special. In fact, Greg Atenito, again, you can check out gregoryatenito.com. And I think around when they started doing the Home for the Holidays shows in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which when they used to do a homestand at the Stone Pony, Gregory started like drawing. He does this he's done this ever since. He goes to like a venue and he draws it, and he sells his art at the venues, or he'll sell them on his website. But something he did recently, and this is his top seller, is the lyrics for, oh, you can't really see it. I'll turn off the lyrics for Gone right here. Let me stand up.
Yeah,
and block
there it is. Yeah,
here it is. You can see the lyrics for Gone right here. He kind of hand draws them and hand writes them and puts them in and prints them out in limited editions. And it's I highly recommend getting one. Just beautiful. I have that for this and the song Night on Earth, which is the end of last song on Hopeless Romantic. Just it's one of those things where I need to have this because the lyrics are beautiful. Again, it's about having those dark nights of the soul, that sometimes you're really going through it.
Yeah.
We just sang a song about how, like, yes, I went through the pain, but now it's like but I'm not just saying that I went through it. I'm telling you that we have gone through these dark nights of the soul. We have really just like constructed these cognitive distortions, right? I built this cloud to live in. It was a bunch of lies in my mind. I didn't know what the term cognitive distortions was until I talked about them with my therapist like 2 years ago, but here it was, the Bouncing Souls were telling me about it back in 2001. I was just too stupid to listen. They're right that sometimes you can't just like solve it your own, and you're not on your own. Sometimes a song will get you through it. Right. The right song that listening to at the right time will break through that darkness, even if it's just for a little while, until you can get the help you need, until you can find the strength you need to move on. And the song, again, everything we're saying right now doesn't do the song justice. When they did the music video, my friend Gracie is like the girl in the music video, rocking along the train tracks. It's adorable. I was at her wedding. She got married about 2.5 years ago, and I was at her wedding with all her friends. And I was the one who knew at the table, who knew her the longest. So I'm like, you guys didn't know she was in this music video? And I'm showing them all the music video at the table. They're like, what? She never told us. It's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Jeff, getting back to what you're saying is just about this song. I feel this song is very summative of the album. And there's like snippets of bits of other songs pop up on this one. Like, 'cause I feel like the ghosts stick to you like glue, or stick to me like glue, is a lot of like the people he meet and the things that just stay in his mind that you see in a lot of other songs. There's a reference to the radio. The Cloudy Night, one of the other songs talked about cloudy nights, and so I feel like, and it all even brings in the world that wants me to believe in. So like there's little references to other songs, but I feel like it's the summation of the album for them, and that it's like bad things are going to happen. They're going to come, and you have the ability in various ways to positively come out of it. It could be a song. We could take this and make the song on the radio and make it a metaphor, and say maybe the community that you're in, like punk community, could be your own actual community, your neighborhood, but like that people will come to get you. You can come out of it together with help from others, and I think that's basically one of the big themes of the album, and I think it really gets summarized here very well.
100%. I just have, there's just one thing that kind of ruined this song for me, and it's
oh no.
Yeah, and it's so embarrassing, and I will never be able to get it out of my head. And it's so when we were in the early days of I guess like Windows Media Player and iTunes and things like that.
Yeah.
If you remember, like there used to be a thing where these companies would like you would put in the CD in your CD player on your computer. It's like you'd try to rip it to MP3s so you could like put it on your iPad or something like that. So I remember Windows Media Player, it would try to get all the track listings, and they would make mistakes all the time. So instead of Gone, it said Gene, like Eugene or genetics.
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
because of that, sometimes when they're playing the song live or I hear it, I just think Gene, and I just think of like Bob's Burgers and I'm like here's a song that's really beautiful about something serious, and yet sometimes I just have this very childish reaction based on Windows Media Player misidentifying the song as being called Gene. So.
Well, yeah, you're just listening to your own private radio.
That's right.
Listening to the song.
In my private radio, the song is called Gene, and so sometimes I laugh while other people are crying, and I feel like a dick. So.
Well, everyone, whatever you do with the music is what you do with it, right? It's the artist just puts it out there, and then we take it and internalize it in any way we need. I also, sorry. Go ahead.
I was instant on it for 20 years, but that's
right.
Good.
Right. Well, it's interesting. Like looking at, I still listen to this song regularly. This wasn't like when I got to this album, like, oh, I haven't heard this song in a while. I'm like, oh, I always listen to this song. But it is interesting. Like I was thinking about it in in a mental health state or like a depression state and things like that. Like the cloud, I built this cloud. I can break it. The world can't change how I feel because I know it's a lie. My heart is real. I mean, if you're suffering from depression or anxiety, like that's all it is. It's your brain making up stuff that's not true, and you're feeling it. And like this is giving such I don't know, it's like a call to arms against your negative thoughts, really. Yes. And that's so powerful in itself because, like, whether it's a breakup, whether it's just life, like I think it was a cloudy night, or so it looked to me. I felt so lost, I couldn't say why. I mean, yeah, that's life. Like sometimes you're just gonna feel bad, and they're offering the suggestions, like put up that song on the radio. Remember that song we talked about earlier in this album? I put that song on to make me feel good and feel connected. Like, try that. Just keep trying, keep doing those things, and you will be able to break it, and this pain will be gone.
Right.
See,
and then
maybe
of course
that's
Pixar comes. Yeah, Pixar comes along. They're like, keep swimming, and it's like, no, Bouncing Souls had that a couple years. This is the keep swimming song. Again, it's a piece of art or a song can save your life, at least temporarily, right? Can get you, can just break through that cloud that you built just for a little bit. Because again, I think, Jeff, you said it beautifully, right? We have these cognitive distortions, and yes, you need professional help, likely in some cases, but sometimes as a temporary stopgap, just do something to make yourself feel better. Something constructive.
And perhaps something constructive, and perhaps it's just, let's go back to the beginning and play that song.
Which invariably happens, right? Like,
right.
The song ends, and then that song hits, and you're like, "Damn, yes!"
Exactly. And you're like, "I gotta listen to this whole album again," and you get stuck in this beautiful loop.
Here I am. I'm gonna just keep listening to this damn album once again.
Like, we've diagnosed you with depression. This album is the cure. Let's go.
Yeah.
and that is how I spent my summer vacation. Is just repeatedly listening to this song on loop, endlessly, getting through it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Fired my therapist this summer and just listened to this album.
That's right. It's like, again, it came out right before the summer. So, the title is presumptuous, but it ended up being a self-fulfilling prophecy that this was how I spent my summer vacation, up until that really tragic day in September, and even then, Bouncing Souls kept pulling me through. I knew.
Oh, yeah.
And still do.
Same. Before we get gone on this podcast, let's play Gone. Well, Phil, that was the record, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. You know what, Phil, I didn't really fire my therapist. I was just kidding. You know what I actually did on my summer vacation?
What did you do on your summer vacation?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I had 2 weeks off from work, so I packed the family and the kids in a car, and we drove to Minnesota, the great state of Minnesota, because we wanted to see the biggest bowl of twine in Minnesota. And that's what I did on my summer vacation. That's my second Weird Al Yankovic reference in this podcast.
That's fantastic.
My summer vacation, I went to Bantam, England, just so I can prep for this show. Yeah, be ready for it. Yeah, and
I went to I took the whole family in the station wagon, and we went to Wally World.
Oh, there it is.
It was closed.
Oh, there it is. It sounds like so much fun. Oh. Jacob, you know what's funny, Jacob? I happen to look back down at your Mount Rushmore. And you have like oddly numeric thing going on. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4 thing going on because you have Ted Leo, which is 1. We have Reggie in the full effect. It's Reggie and the full
Yeah.
effect. So that would be 2. You have Alkaline Trio, which is 3, and then you got Dillinger 4.
What?
What a weird
That's
thing for me to notice, isn't it?
yeah, but I love the
Yeah.
way your brain works. That's amazing. Wow.
I don't.
And also
Ouch,
probably
no.
Thursday on there too was also
That,
like so that has
Yeah.
no number though. So
that
sorry.
has no number. Well,
Although it's
I mean,
it's the 5th day of the week, is it not?
5th day of the week.
There it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
So there it
yes.
is.
We'll
So
take it. We'll
I
take it.
literally, I'm gonna forget. Write that down. Write that down right now. I'm like, holy
Wow,
shit,
geez,
that
okay.
worked out. It's the 5th day of the week, named
I
after.
feel like now like I'm being programmed somehow, and that's really creeping me out.
Wow, that is kind of creepy.
This is the proof of the simulation.
Yeah, that's what happened when the emergency broadcast system did their thing the other day. We all got suckered into being controlled by the government, I guess. Anyway,
Right.
let's go. We've now we've been gone through the record. We've learned what we all did in our summer vacation. So Jeff, I'm now going to ask you a series of questions, you and Jacob and myself, and I will go last. Jeff will go first. Jacob, you'll go second. So you have time to think about it while I put Jeff on the spot. Jeff, what do you think is the best song on the album?
I can't not say True Believers. It's
Yeah.
as we discussed earlier, it is one of the greatest songs.
One of the greatest songs. Jacob, what do you think is the best song on the album?
I'm with Jeff. Again, as a teacher, especially someone who teaches film, I'm used to making like rubrics, like to like take something that would be subjective like art and breaking it down into like different categories. And like I think just by every measure on any rubric I would create, True Believers would be the best song on the album.
I appreciate the academicness by which you answered that question. You were
Well,
both correct.
You have to
Yeah.
find a way of filtering out your subjectivities to have an objective
Right.
answer.
Yes.
Right. No, that's true. No, you're right. You're right. Yes, True Believer is the best song on the album. It's just I don't know if you go. Where else do you go? I don't think you can go anywhere else. It's the best. It's the best song. Jeff, let's go the other end of the spectrum, if you will. Can you tell me, please, what is the song you're gonna skip?
I guess I'm gonna skip Manthem. Just kidding. I would never skip Manthem. That's crazy.
Don't
talk.
skip Manthem. That's crazy talk.
No,
So.
I mean I have to come out and say, Phil, we do sometimes. This is one of those albums where it's like we gotta kill one of our darlings here because there's
Where
really
do you
nothing.
go?
Yeah.
Right. Where do you go? Where
So
do you go?
so with that in mind, I'm probably going to skip. What am I going to skip?
It's a tough ass question. This is one of those albums. Tough album to ask this question on. But yeah, what are we gonna skip here?
I'm going to skip Streetlight Serenade to No One just because while I love it and appreciate what it does, it's my argument is it's not a full song necessarily. So maybe that's why. That's it. But I actually wouldn't skip it, people. Let's just
it's just look, it's part of the challenge of this is you gotta start looking at all the songs in totality and start figuring out what possibly could be the weakest of the song. Jacob, what do you think is the song you're gonna skip?
Okay, so I feel like I can't say Streetlight Serenade because that would be my answer, but I'm gonna say Broken Record.
Broken Record. Interesting.
Because I feel like the same. I love the song. Again, I don't think I love this whole album, obviously, but I feel like everything that's said in Broken Record is said somewhere else. So maybe Broken Record is a broken record,
See, I can get behind that. I can definitely get behind that. You're wrong because it's Streetlight. That's the song to skip. That's 100% because it's the odd man out is what it is.
Yes.
I feel like it's the only song that might not be a full complete thing, and I feel like audibly I think it's the odd man out. That's the only reason. Great song. It just any other album, I don't think I'd skip it. I just think
feel
against everything. Good.
I just feel like there has to be that palate cleanser is needed though. Like it does serve it does serve a purpose, and so I get it. That.
Well, what if we added it on to the end of the song before it? So like there's like a fade and then then it comes on. So it's not its own track. It's just like a little afterthought.
Jeff.
Yes.
I think this is the hardest question. I always do. What do you think is the sleeper song? What's everybody sleeping on?
No one is sleeping on anything because this album's so good, but I am going to say Manthem because, I want to go to the punk rock show with the boys tonight.
Good call. Jacob, what about you? What
Oh,
do you think?
that's easy. I think No Comply. That song should be way bigger than it is. I don't hear it played that much. I don't hear people talk. My friends who are Bouncing Souls fanatic talking about it that much, and I think it's just such a great freaking song. It's so quick, not many lyrics, and I think maybe that's why it's overlooked. But No Comply is again. I love these positive, these affirming songs, and I think it's such a good one.
Jeff, last time I disagreed with Jacob. This time I'm going to agree with him. I think it's No Comply. I think you're right. For all the reasons you just said, I think No Comply is it's a fun song. It's I love a non preachy, toxic, positive song. Like it's when it very much. So I'm going to go No Comply. That's where I'm going. Well, there we go, guys. We figured it all out today. That's really good. And also Jacob's love of a number sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's very strange how that worked out. Jeff, do me a favor. Can you tell me how easy it is to have a podcast on Spotify?
Why, it's so easy, Phil. If you wanted to do a podcast on skateboarding moves and just talk about different skateboarding moves, what they're called, like No Complies, or a thingy on the thingy from Scott Pilgrim, you could do that on Spotify really easily for podcasting for Spotify, and you can add songs and just make that skateboarding podcast. We're waiting for it.
Heck yeah.
You could call it Comply with No Comply. That could be the name of your podcast.
Oh, there you go.
No compliance.
No compliance. Oh, even better. Let's go. Let's expand it a little bit. Jacob, thanks for coming on the show. Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Film teacher Steebs on Instagram. You could find me on ghettofilm.org, my About Us page. Especially if you are a filmmaker and you are interested in, you're looking for some young kids in New York or LA or London to like work on your set, get experience, or you want to, a 14 to 18-year-old who wants to join our 30-month program. We would love to have them. We love to have kids who just, they've never had to have picked up a camera in their lives. They just have to be interested in telling a story. And if they have a sense of story, we'd love to have them in. I know we're at the age where some of our contemporaries have teenagers now, which is scary. But if they would like to do that, they're in the tri-state area. Please have them. Our application is going to open again in January, so have them apply. I would love to teach them.
And once again, what's the name of the school?
We are the Ghetto Film School. We're a nonprofit in the Bronx, LA, and in London that is dedicated to educating, developing, and celebrating the next generation of great storytellers and filmmakers.
I love it.
I love it. I love that you do that. I think that's the coolest thing.
It's the coolest. It's the coolest job in the world. I love it so much.
So I think Phil, before the pod, I kind of mentioned I was like I kind of enjoyed watching Jacob through social media. Him like taking the job of Miss Smith and like making it this like career path.
Yeah, shout out to Marianne Taylor Smith, Mr. Lombardo, miss you, dude, and of course Mr. Michael Pastor, our photography teacher, who was also instrumental in teaching visual storytelling to all of us. Yeah.
Looking back, I'm astonished at the artistic education we got out of that high school. We had some great teachers, and so once again, hats off to all the great teachers out there.
Yeah,
please keep teaching. We love you because you guys are awesome, and you do impact us. Here's 3 examples of it down the road.
Absolutely, we'll never stop talking about you or trying to emulate you to some extent. Yeah,
I try to be, even my son's into film a little bit now, and I try to be the best Miss Smith I possibly can be with him because that is just the impact of good teaching. It really is. Where are we? So we are the Millennial Diner podcast. We are on the TikTok. We have an Instagram. We have a Facebook. We've got Threads. That does still exist, and we still kind of do something with it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe where you can. We also have Spotify and YouTube, where you can do all those fun things. Jeff, we got something really bonkers right now. We have a store in T Public. We have a store, Millennial Diner. You can get some fantastic creations designed by our executive producer, my wife Megan, who doesn't like it when I interrupt her when she's being a graphic designer. Which is fair. I really shouldn't. I should just stay out. But I'm like, hey, check out this cat video. And she's like, why are you showing me this? And that's a really good point.
Well, Phil, you're no good and she's better.
Oh, wouldn't you be perfect together? I love that. This is amazing. I barely touched my Reuben. It's cold.
Yeah, I'm
But
actually
yeah.
little upset that my Sunday never came out.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I'm assuming that Sunday is gone.